Chapter 390. Chun Daoxian is not the day of procrastination. He estimated that the time to participate in the Qianyuan sword sex celebration ceremony should be enough for him to hit the world realm several times. Thinking of this, Chun Daoxian used his divine sense voice transmission to explain to Luo Li, and began to concentrate on retreating and attacking the world. Break through from the fifth realm of the Dao realm to the realm of the world. In addition to the degree of fusion of the laws meeting the requirements, it is also necessary to use the fusion laws as the foundation, and the monk's Dao domain is flesh and blood, and a whole new world is opened up in the endless void outside the Phoenix Meteor realm. And the only medium between this world and the Phoenix Meteor world is the cultivator who opened up this small world. Opening up a world in the endless void is not an easy task. Although it is the endless void near the Phoenix Meteor realm. If the endless void is compared to a sea, Phoenix Meteor realm is an island in the sea, and the newly opened small world is a sea reef near the pier of this island. In the vicinity of Phoenix Meteor realm, there are so many such sea reefs that it is impossible to count them. Don't look at the many small worlds opened up by the monks, but there is not even a single world that can really grow into a main world like the Phoenix Meteor realm step by step. Near the Phoenix Meteor realm, most of the small worlds are dead places without any vitality. This indicates that the monk who opened up this world has fallen. The world it opens up will also collapse step by step, and eventually turn into nothingness under the scouring of the endless void. To a certain extent, the monks in the world are very similar to the world monsters. The only difference is that the source world opened up by the world monsters is in the body, while the small world opened up by the human monks is in the endless void. Moreover, the world created by the human race monks is much more powerful than the source world that the world demons cultivated step by step from the seeds of the world. Chun Daoxian had already kept in mind the essentials of breaking through the world. Next is practice. Chun Daoxian thought for a while and took out the Michan banner. Although this flag can only be teleported within the realm and cannot be teleported across borders, it has the advantage of being able to lock the space coordinates, and the space coordinates it locks are limited. But Chun Daoxian only needs to use the space coordinates provided by it to return to the Phoenix world after he fails to open up the small world. With his current cultivation strength, he cannot be exposed to the endless void for a long time. According to legend, the endless void not only has a strong time and space turbulence, but also a place of absolute spirituality. It is very difficult to survive in the endless void for a long time until the cultivation base is not in the transcendence period. Chun Daoxian naturally did not dare to break through the world without any preparation. Benefit Michan Fan wrote down the spatial coordinates of the quiet room. Chun Daoxian called out the three immortal swords and slowly merged them into one. In the end, he controlled the golden giant sword to make a sharp stroke. Raised land. A void black hole appeared in front of him. Chun Daoxian did not dare to delay, and stepped into the void black hole one step. As he stepped into the void black hole, the void black hole slowly disappeared. I do not know how long it has been. Chun Daoxian only felt that he had fallen into darkness. The whole person was no longer divided into upper and lower, and the concept of time no longer existed. Is this the endless void? Chun Daoxian muttered. The next moment he saw a huge ball of light. This ball of light is in a dark endless void, like a luminous torch, very conspicuous. A trace of connection made Chun Daoxian instantly recognize this huge ball of light. It is the main world where Chun Daoxian lives, the Phoenix Meteor realm. However, Chun Daoxian did not see any of the countless small worlds that were rumored to be close to Fengyun realm. Of course, now is not the time to wrestle with this issue. His cultivation base is limited, and he cannot expect to live in the endless void for a long time. He must open up a small world as soon as possible. Thinking of this, Chun Daoxian slowly expanded his Dao domain. Since his cultivation, Chun Daoxian's Dao domain is the same as his divine consciousness, which is more than 2,300 miles in diameter. The Dao territory with a diameter of 2,300 miles is barely enough to see in the boundary of Guang'an Mansion. If you look at the endless void, you can't even count a small speck of dust. Chun Daoxian came from the earth in his previous life. He didn't know how the universe where the earth was located was related to the endless void where the Phoenix Meteor realm was located. Anyway, with the spatial scale of his Dao domain, whether it is in the earth universe or in the endless void, it is an extremely small existence. He now understands a little bit why he can see the glowing phoenix realm, but he can't see the small worlds attached to the phoenix realm. Let me ask, who can see the dust next to the giant celestial body? In the endless void, Chen Daoxian only felt that his body, including the mana within him, seemed to be pulled by an inexplicable force. After he stabilized his body, he found that the mana left his dantian a little bit uncontrollably. This situation surprised him suddenly, because he found out that this pulling force did not come from elsewhere, but from the big ball of light in front of him, Phoenix Meteor Realm. Fengyun Realm is absorbing his mana. At this moment, Chen Daoxian couldn't help thinking of the law of universal gravitation in his previous life. The Phoenix Meteor Realm, which is in the endless void, involuntarily absorbs the matter and energy in the endless void. Just like the cultivator's desire to become stronger, the world also has the instinct to upgrade. Suddenly, a kind of enlightenment appeared in Chen Daoxian's heart. Seeing that his mana left his dantian little by little, Chen Daoxian didn't dare to delay any longer. In the endless void, the three laws that were integrated into one were once again integrated with his Dao domain. The Dao domain fusion law can only open up a new world in the endless void. In this way, the cultivator stepped into the sixth level of the avenue, the world realm. Chen Daoxian's Dao law completely met the requirements, but his Dao domain as a newly opened world was too small. Such a small world may be unheard of among all world realm cultivators, because there is no way that true monarch nascent soul's Dao territory is only 2,300 miles in diameter. In the Dao domain, the three fusion laws turned into a fireball hanging high in the sky. Continuing to look out, a thin layer of world barriers is slowly taking shape. But this new world barrier, like a softened eggshell, is very fragile. Not to mention, compared to the world barriers in the Phoenix Meteor Realm, even if a cheerifying cultivator came, he could easily pierce it. But Chen Daoxian didn't care at all. The newly opened world was inherently fragile, and whether it was the world's barriers or the size of the world, it would be unsatisfactory. But as long as you step into the world, these deficiencies can be made up one by one. It's just that Chen Daoxian knows that in a short period of time, he can't lead foreign enemies into the world he created to fight like Yi Tianqi. Introducing a foreign enemy into this fragile new world is something that only a fool can do. Under the blessing of 100-fold understanding, Chen Daoxian's Dao domain and laws were integrated very smoothly. Once the fusion of Dao domain and law is carried out, it is irreversible. Next is the long wait. Fortunately, Chen Daoxian's Dao domain is very small, and the fusion of laws and Dao domain is also very fast. About a month, the fusion of Dao domain and law has reached the final stage. It's done. Chen Daoxian looked at the gray, shimmering little ball of light in front of him, and stepped into it with a thought. Cain as the creator of the world, Chen Daoxian had a different feeling when he entered the newly opened world for the first time. This new world is definitely different from the cave world. Even though its area may not be as huge as some cave days, it is a small world in an endless void. Except for being smaller, in essence it is no different from the main world like Phoenix Meteor Realm. More importantly, this is the world he created. Stand in the middle of a small world. Chen Daoxian looked at the gray and chaotic new world, and a burst of joy surged in his heart. Although it is small and broken, it is the foundation of one's own enlightenment. Chen Daoxian glanced at the sun above his head, and then looked at the entanglement of the gray air and the yellow turbid air. After thinking for a moment, he said, "From today onwards, I will call you Zuan Huangji." At the moment when Chen Daoxian was named, Zuan Huangji trembled slightly. Sure enough, the world is conscious. Chen Daoxian once again confirmed his guess. This is also the biggest difference between the world opened up by the monks and the cave world. Although the cave world is also called the world, it is dead. If there is no external resource supplement, it cannot achieve the circulation of matter and energy at all. That is, the monks often say that there is endless life. But the world opened up by Chen Daoxian is alive. Even if the turbid air of this world is not divided, it is still alive like a newborn baby. Even Chen Daoxian, as the creator, can feel the joy after its birth. Feeling the joy of Zuan Huangji, Chen Daoxian couldn't help but feel a little happy in his heart. But before he could indulge in joy, a sense of weakness hit him suddenly. Not good. Chen Daoxian found that his mana had bottomed out. You must know that although Chen Daoxian is in the Jindan stage, He possesses the treasure of the 6th grade good fortune White Lotus. In terms of the depth of mana, most of the true monarchs of nascent soul are far inferior to him. Even so, he still felt that the mana was almost exhausted. At this moment the Xianhuang realm has just been born. Although it has spiritual energy, it is extremely thin and outrageous, and it is impossible to rely on it to supplement it. Of course, even if Xuanhuangji had sufficient spiritual energy, Chen Daoxian was reluctant to add it. Extracting spiritual energy from your own world is like spending your own money. Can you not feel bad? What's more, it's still early days. Without thinking too much, Chen Daoxian took out the Michin banner, sensed the spatial coordinates left by himself in the Phoenix meteor realm, and disappeared in the Xianhuang realm in a flash. The figure reappeared. Chen Daoxian has returned to the quiet room. More than a month later, Chen Daoxian returned to the quiet room again, but he was already a monk in the world. A world realm cultivator at the golden core stage, Chen Daoxian estimates that this kind of achievement is absolutely unprecedented in the Phoenix world. Before he had time to be complacent, Chen Daoxian felt the weakness of Dantian again. So he calmed down, refined spiritual energy quietly, and accumulated mana. Shuanghu Island is the family home of the Chen family. The cultivator of the Chen family, who was not short of money, used the spiritual stone to promote the spiritual vein to the 5th rank abruptly. To be honest, the 5th order spiritual veins are somewhat wasteful for the Chen family, whose highest cultivation base is only Jindan stage. However, the amount of spiritual stone spent to advance to the 5th order spiritual veins is only 1 billion. This was nothing to the wealthy Chen family. After all, Chen Daoxian hadn't cared about the financial situation of the Chen family for a long time, but through the continuous promotion of the family's spiritual veins, he could roughly see that the Chen family was really not bad at the moment. You must know that in Wan Xinghai, the promotion of spiritual veins is not a once-and-for-all thing. Because of the existence of Qianyuan Jianzong, Wan Xinghai's immortal cultivating family with spiritual veins has to pay taxes to Qianyuan Jianzong. When the Chen family was weak, they did not pay taxes to Qianyuan Jianzong because his Chen family was not eligible to pay taxes at that time. In Wangxinghai, if the rank of the spiritual veins reaches the 2nd rank or higher, the spiritual vessel tax will be charged by the Qianyuan sword sect. Fortunately, Qianyuan Jianzong only collects the tax of spiritual veins. The main income of the Chen family comes from various trades, and the mere spiritual pulse tax the Chen family doesn't care much. But the Chen family doesn't care, it doesn't mean that other cultivators don't care. Although the strength of the Chen family is now among the top families in Wan Xinghai, but compared with the nascent Soul clan with a long tradition, the biggest disadvantage of the Chen family is that the family is sparsely populated. Although the Chen family has been encouraging fertility since Chen Daoxian took power, in order to encourage the Chen family to have children, Chen Daoxian even did the business of buying female slaves from Izumo. But no matter how encouraged, the Chen family got rich late after all. Not to mention that compared with those nascent soul clans that have been inherited for a long time, the current population of the Chen family is still an order of magnitude worse than that of the Zhou family in Guang'an. As far as Chen Daoxian knew, the Zhou family, including mortals, had a population of about tens of millions. As for the Chen family, there are only a few million people. This population is really too small, which is very inconsistent with the status of the Chen family in Wan Xinghai. But considering that the Chen family had a population of only a few thousand decades ago, it has grown to a scale of millions now. In less than 50 years, the population has doubled nearly 1,000 times, which is very exaggerated. There was a loose cultivator in Guanhai Xiancheng who joked that ordinary men in the Chen family would walk against the wall when they became adults. This shows how exaggerated the Chen family's policy of encouraging childbirth is. The outside world does not know. In Wan Xinghai, another world realm cultivator was born. Just when Chen Daoxian consolidated his realm and restored and replenished his mana, the Zhangzhou cultivator stationed at Zinangguan came back. Although there were not many Zhangzhou cultivators coming back this time, the leaders of the major Zhangzhou clans that Chen Daoxian was familiar with were all listed. The first thing that these leaders of various ethnic groups in Zhangzhou rushed back to Zhangzhou was not to prepare to participate in the celebration ceremony of Qianyuan Jianzong, but to go to the Chen family collectively to visit Chen Daoxian. it can be seen that Chan Daoxuan's status in the hearts of Zhangzhou monks is now. After several months, Chan Daoxian, who had replenished his mana, opened his eyes. With a slight sweep of his consciousness, he understood the general situation of the outside world. The next moment, Chan Daoxuan's figure suddenly disappeared. When his figure reappeared, he was already in the Qiming Hall of the Chan family. In the Hall of Qiming, Chan Fusheng, who had just returned to Shuanghu Island, stood in the main hall. When he saw Chan Daoxian, the excitement in his eyes flashed away, and he immediately knelt down in salute. Fusheng pays tribute to the patriarch. Finished the gift. Chan Fusheng stood up, looked at Chan Daoxian and waited for orders. Chapter 391. More than a year later. Seeing Chan Fusheng again, Chan Daoxian couldn't help but have a heartwarming smile on his face. Compared to a year ago, Chan Fusheng, who experienced the battle to recover Zenangwan, looks more mature and stable. Fusheng, have you heard about the grand ceremony of the Qinyuan sword sect? Hearing this, Chan Fusheng cupped his hands and said, Patriarch, Fusheng already knows about this. He paused. Not only that, the patriarchs of the major families in Zhangzhou have been waiting on Shuanghu Island for many days for this. Oh! Hearing this, Chan Daoxian looked at Chan Daolian on the left with slight surprise. Seeing Chan Daoxian looking at her, Chan Daolian smiled and said, the patriarchs of the major families in Zhangzhou know that you are in retreat and dare not disturb them, so I will arrange for them to stay in Shuanghu Island for a few days. Chan Daoxian nodded. So it's my Chan family who neglected me. In that case, it's time to invite the patriarchs of various clans to come here to discuss the celebration. Yes. Chan Daolian nodded slightly. Then, she took out a communication talisman, and after giving a few words, she pocketed the communication talisman. Although Shuanghu Island belongs to the Chan family, the island area is not large. The patriarchs of Zhangzhou who can set foot on Shuanghu Island have at least the cultivation of the Zifu period. With the elusive light of the Zifu period, it didn't take a moment for the patriarchs of the various clans in Zhangzhou to arrive at the Qiming Hall. Speaking of which, this was the first time that the Chan family had invited a foreigner to come to the discussion hall of the Chan family, and the people who came were all the leaders of various forces in Zhangzhou. Chan Daoxian looked at the people standing by His Highness Zhou Mingho, Yang Linyuan, Henry Zhang, Zhou Mubai. At the beginning, all the people who were unattainable in the eyes of the Chan family, but now they are all standing respectfully in the Chan family's discussion hall, with the appearance of the Chan family's horses. I'll see Patriarch Chan. When everyone saw Chan Daoxian, who was in the top seat, they did not dare to be slighted, and they all bowed and saluted. During the Battle of Izumo, Zhangzhou cultivators all understood that with Chan Daoxian alone, the Chan family had completely established an unshakable dominance in Zhangzhou. In the future, if each family in Zhangzhou wants to mix in Zhangzhou, they must look at the face of the Chan family. Everyone didn't feel any resistance, because in the world of immortals, they originally spoke based on their strength. The Chan family is now the undisputed number one in Zhangzhou's strength, and naturally sits on this overlord. What's more, the news of Jiang's family in Taizhou has spread some time ago. Chan Daoxian personally beheaded Jiang Taiyuan, the head of the Jiang family, in front of thousands of Taizhou monks in Jiexiancheng. This matter caused a great shock in Wanxinghai. Just when cultivator Wanxinghai thought that Qinyuan Jianzong was going to use this as an excuse to clean up the Chan family and Chan Daoxian, he found that Qinyuan Jianzong had no response. It seems that the Jiang family died not the famous Yuaning Zhenjuan, but a little-known person. Qinyuan Jianzong's unpredictable attitude made monk Wanxinghai speculate about the strength of the Chan family. Someone said, the strength of the Chan family in Zhangzhou has threatened the rule of Qinyuan Jianzong, so Qinyuan Jianzong did not dare to act rashly. Others say that Chan Daoxian is not only unfathomable in strength, but his potential is even more amazing, and Qinyuan Jianzong does not want to offend this person for the Jiang family. Anyway, after Jiang Taiyuan's death, Wanxinghai's rumors spread, which also cast a shadow over the upcoming celebration ceremony of Qinyuan Jianzong. In the Hall of Qiming, Chan Daoxian looked at the patriarchs of the various clans in the hall, raised his hand with a smile, and said, everyone is a Zhangzhou cultivator, and they are all a family, so there is no need to be bound by vulgar etiquette. When everyone heard this, they all stood up straight and raised their heads to look at Chen Daoxian, who was in the high seat. Inside the hall, Zhou Mubai looked at Chen Daoxian, who was sitting high on the throne of the Chen family patriarch, and accepted the salute from everyone, and felt a dazed expression. Times have changed, but he never thought that the monk he met back then, who was not even in the foundation building stage, would actually grow into an existence that even he had to look up to. When Zhou Mubai faced Chen Daoxian, his feelings were very complicated. Chen Daoxian seemed to sense Zhou Mubai's gaze, turned his head and smiled kindly at him. Seeing this, Zhou Mubai hurriedly handed over, not daring to neglect at all. With the change of strength, the status of the two sides can no longer be called brothers as before. In fact, this situation is quite normal in the world of immortals. Unless there is a direct teacher or blood relationship between the monks, the seniority and status of each other are often determined by their cultivation base and strength. Based on Chen Daoxuan's current cultivation in the late stage of Jindan, Zhou Mubai really had to call him a senior when he saw him. What's more, Chen Daoxian is not just a simple late Jindan cultivator. Even if Chen Daoxian himself is excluded, the Chen family behind him is now the largest clan in Songzhou. Chen Daoxian has been away from the family for more than a year. Under the hard work of Chen Daolian and others, the Chen family has completely monopolized the market of Songzhou's instruments, elixir, and charms. The other immortal clans in Songzhou have gradually become the raw material suppliers for the Chen family. This move was indeed dissatisfied by all ethnic groups in Songzhou at first. It's just that this dissatisfaction disappeared after Chen Daoxian single-handedly killed the true monarch Minghuang of the Xianqing Dao League. After all, the world still speaks by strength. The Chen family did not stop after monopolizing Songzhou's market for magic instruments, elixir, etc. It also relied on Yuanshan Xianqing to sell various products produced by Guanhai Xianqing to various states and prefectures in Wangxinghai. Even the Zhenan Xianqing of Izumo has a large part of the business of the Chen family. These newly opened trade markets have also greatly digested the production capacity of Guanhai Xianqing. At the same time, the various ethnic groups in Songzhou, whose interests were originally damaged by the Chen family, also benefited a lot from the skyrocketing orders of various factories in Guanhai Xianqing. This time, the grievances of all ethnic groups in Songzhou against the Chen family completely disappeared. Compared with forceful suppression, the binding of interests is the most stable relationship in the world. This principle is no exception anywhere. At this point, all the families in Songzhou were completely convinced by the Chen family. Seeing that the patriarchs of the major families in the hall treated his Chen family so respectfully, Chen Daoxian knew that Chen Daolian, as the acting patriarch, had contributed greatly. It's been hard work for you during this time. Chen Daoxuan's divine sense transmission. Chen Daolian heard the familiar voice in the sea of knowledge, her body froze slightly, and then a happy smile appeared on her face. Patriarch, don't forget, I am also the Chen family, so why bother? Chen Daoxian nodded slightly, then looked at everyone in the hall again, and said, You must all know about the upcoming celebration ceremony of Qianyuan sword sect. Hearing this, everyone nodded. Chen Daoxian continued, This celebration ceremony, discussing merit is the need, and dividing the interests of the cloud country is the truth. He paused, I think, that's what everyone cares about the most. Hearing such naked words, the patriarchs and young patriarchs of all ethnic groups in Songzhou let out a laughter. Suddenly, the solemn atmosphere in the hall disappeared. The crowd also began to discuss heatedly. Patriarch Chen, our Songzhou allied forces recaptured Zhenangguan Xianqing this time, and the credit is not small. After all, we can be regarded as the vanguard of this Izumo war. That's right. This time to divide the interests of the Yun Kingdom, we Songzhou cultivators have to fight for it. Zhou Mingho said in a deep voice. What Clan Chief Zhou said is very true. Yang Linyuan nodded unceasingly. In recent years, our Songzhou has declined in strength due to the chaos of the gods, and coupled with the fact that the dragons have no leader, we have no right to speak in the Qianyuan sword sect. Not to mention dividing the interests of the Yun Kingdom, we can't even touch the original income near the immortal city in Jiangnan. Hearing this, everyone showed a look of indignation. Gu Yan, this is also the reason why the Yi family is hated. Because Yi Wudao escaped that year, not only ruined the millions of monks in Songzhou, but also ruined the interests that originally belonged to Songzhou. Such a great hatred. If it weren't for Yi Wudao's backing of Yi Yin, he would not be able to withstand the anger of the tens of millions of cultivators in Songzhou by relying on him alone as a Jindan cultivator. The Yi family is extremely hateful. It is said that this owl was released again. It's really hateful. Seeing the excitement of the crowd, Chun Daoxian raised his hand and pressed it. Seeing this, the voices of everyone gradually became smaller. I know all your demands. Chun Daoxian nodded and said, I am here today. I can give you a guarantee that it belongs to the interests of our Songzhou cultivators, and I will win it for you little by little. Seeing the excited expressions on everyone's faces, Chun Daoxian continued, not only that, people from the Yi family from now on are not allowed to set foot in Songzhou again. Boom! Chun Daoxian's last sentence completely detonated the atmosphere in the hall. What did they hear? Chun Daoxian actually wanted to expel the Yi family. You know, that's the Yi family. As the saying goes, it is up to the owner to beat a dog. No matter how bad the Yi family is, they are still Yi Yin's descendants. Chun Daoxian's move undoubtedly slapped the face of Yi Yin, the third elder of Qinyuan Jianzong. Thinking of this, everyone's breathing gradually became faster. For a while, everyone was silent. Seeing everyone's appearance, Chun Daoxian leaned back slightly and smiled lightly. Why are you all afraid? Heard. Before the others spoke, Henry Zhang took the lead. The matter of expelling the Yi family is counted in my Zhang family. Hearing this, Chun Daoxian was a little surprised. This was not what he arranged. It is impossible for Henry Zhang to know the expulsion of the Yi family, or even the idea that was just born after he broke through to the world. But Chun Daoxian immediately thought that he was in the Yunxiao Palace of Qinyuan Jianzong. Henry Zhang was the most courageous, and he didn't frighten Yi Wudao at all. In front of all the Yuanying Zhenjuan, he dared to choke with Yi Wudao. You must know that Yi Wudao had Yi Yin as a backer at the beginning, but Henry Zhang did not have any backer who could compare with Yi Yin. It's okay to say that Henry Zhang is stunned, and the sense of justice is overwhelming. Anyway, he was indeed the first person among the cultivators in Songzhou who dared to take the initiative to attack Yi Wudao. Thinking of this, Chun Daoxian couldn't help feeling better about this old friend. See the first person to stand up. Zhou Mubai pondered for a moment, then stood up from the crowd, cupped his hands and said, what Brother Zhang said is also what Zhou thought. Songzhou Xianqing is the first Xianqing in Songzhou cultivator's heart. The Yi family now occupies the immortal city of Songzhou, and their name is not right, and they should be expelled. Hearing this, everyone reacted. Speaking of which, there is only one Chongping County awarded by Qinyuan Jianzong to the Chun family. State city, prefectural city, county seat, county seat. This is the imperial seal level of Qinyuan Jianzong to the major families of Wan Xinghai. Although Chun Daoxian took the top spot in the last Songzhou corpse tide, he exchanged all his military exploits for large transport ships. Coupled with the fierce confrontation between the Qinyuan Jianzong sect master and the third elder Yi Yin at that time, no one paid attention to the fact that the Chun family in Songzhou only had a small closed county. This time, no matter what, the Chun family must obtain the imperial seal of Songzhou State City. Because only in this way can they be the #1 clan in Songzhou. The current Chun family is equivalent to having the strength of the largest clan in Songzhou, but it has not been officially recognized by the Qinyuan sword sect. No wonder the Chun family was in a hurry to expel the Yi family, everyone thought to themselves. At this time, everyone reacted and spoke in support. Patriarch Zhou is right. The Yi family has no virtue and is not worthy of occupying the position of Songzhou Xiancheng. What the Patriarch Sheng said is very true. Looking at the patriarchs of various clans in Songzhou, who were both familiar and unfamiliar to His Highness, Chun Daoxian suddenly lost his interest. He waved at the crowd and said, the matter of expelling the Yi family is settled. When the celebration ceremony begins, I will personally negotiate with the sect master. Yes. Everyone bowed. If you have nothing else to do, you can step back first. Everyone didn't know why Chun Daoxian suddenly looked bad, but with Chun Daoxian's strength and status, no one dared to question his words. So he bowed again and said, Patriarch Chun, I will retire. Just as everyone was leaving, Chun Daoxian looked at Henry Zhang and said, Brother Xianling, please stay. Henry Zhang paused and stopped. People from other families didn't dare to stay any longer, and they quickly exited the hall and drove away. See people leave. Chen Daoxian looked at Henry Zhongling and said with a smile, "Brother Zhang, if I remember correctly, you were the first to stand up and scold Yi Wudao in front of Yunxiao Palace." Henry Zhang thought for a while, nodded and said, "But there is such a thing. In this case, does Brother Zhang dare to sue him Yi Wudao again in Yunxiao Palace?" Chen Daoxian said, looking directly at Henry Zhang. Being stared directly at by Chen Daoxian, Henry Zhang raised his head slightly. "Why don't you dare? It is good." Chen Daoxian stood up from the throne. "Brother Zhang, I want you to be in Yunxiao Palace and sue him for Yi Wudao's death penalty. Sue Yi Wudao for capital punishment?" This. Before Zhang Xianling could respond, the Chen family cultivators all whispered. Yi Wudao is nothing to be afraid of, but his backer Yi Yin is not easy to get along with. He is one of the top powerhouses in Qianyuan Jianzong. This moment, Henry Zhang's heart was beating like a drum. Expelling the Yi family and letting Yi Wudao die are two different concepts. Expelling the Yi family just embarrassed Yi Wudao and made Yi Yin's face dull. But with Yi Yin's status in the Qianyuan sword sect, even if the Yi family leaves Cangzhou and goes to any other state, they can develop smoothly. And Chen Daoxian obviously didn't want to expel the Yi family, as simply as he wanted Yi Wudao's life. Yi Wudao is Yi Yin's only son. Can Yi Yin agree? Impossible things. Sudden, a terrifying thought quietly rose in Henry Zhang's heart. Wouldn't Chen Daoxian want to unite with the sect master of Qianyuan sword sect and completely wipe out the Yi Yin family? Chapter 392. Chen Daoxian looked at Henry Zhang quietly without urging. Henry Zhang stood in the hall with his brows furrowed. Around, the discussions of the Chen family gradually stopped, and everyone looked at him, waiting for Henry Zhang to make a decision. A long time. Henry Zhang spit out a turbid breath and said solemnly, "Zhang is willing to be the leader of the patriarch Chen. Accepted." Seeing Henry Zhang agreeing, Chen Daoxian couldn't help showing a smile on the corner of his mouth. To eradicate Yi Yin and the Xiuxian family behind him, Chen Daoxian had this idea after beheading Jiang Taiyuan. The reason is actually quite simple. Although Wanxinghai is nominally ruled by the Qianyuan sword sect, in fact, it is not the Qianyuan sword sect that really rules the Wanxinghai states, but the major immortal clans. For example, the Taizhou Jiang family, the Jingzhou Ji family, and the Hanzhou Ling family, etc., control the vast majority of resources and commerce in Wanxinghai. It is difficult for people from out of state to insert their hands into other states. For example, although the Chen family is the largest clan in Cangzhou, it is difficult to do business in Taizhou, Jingzhou and other surrounding areas, let alone Hanzhou, Yuzhou and other places farther away. Although the strength of Qianyuan sword sect is strong, the relationship between the senior members of the sect and the major nascent soul clans is inextricably linked, and they are constantly being cut off. It is simply unrealistic to want to have the constraints of destroying the Xiuxian family. The elders of Qianyuan Jianzong, represented by Yi Yin, are typical platforms for the various immortal clans in Wanxinghai. Without destroying this power, it is almost impossible for Qianyuan Jianzong to achieve complete over Wanxinghai. From this angle, Chen Daoxian's dealing with Yi Yin seems to be a very stupid thing, because he represents a family force and should stand with Yi Yin. Not so. The Chen family has grown to this point, and it has reached the ceiling like all the immortal cultivating families in Wanxinghai. If there is no major change, there is basically no further possibility. The Chen family wanted to go further. The first way is to learn from the Qi family of that year and expand the jurisdiction to the outer states. But it's a dead end. Although Qianyuan Jianzong has a complicated relationship with the Wanxinghai Xiuxian clan, this bottom line will never be broken by Qianyuan Jianzong. Because once this opening is opened, the dominance of Qianyuan Jianzong will be completely shaken for hundreds of years at most. The second, more modest path is to loosen state trade barriers. That's right. Don't look at Wanxinghai being under the rule of Qianyuan Jianzong, but in fact with the Xiuxian family's control over the states, it is difficult for non-local forces to intervene in other states. Just like the Jiang family did everything possible to extend their power to Cangzhou, but they were unanimously resisted by the Cangzhou families. This was still Cangzhou, a group of dragons without a leader at that time. In places like Taizhou and Jingzhou led by the Yuanying family, let alone other states to get involved. The only way to get involved is to let the Xiuxian families in each state take the initiative to release trade protection. Don't look at the fact that Chen Daoxian has obtained a lot of foreign trade volume through Yuanshan Xiancheng, but compared with opening the local trade barriers of each state, this trade volume is not even a drop in the bucket. But to do this is not an easy task. Wan Xinghai's immortal cultivation family is not a soft persimmon without strength. Even if Qianyuan Jianzong wanted to move the power of the Xiuxian family, he had to weigh it carefully. Not to mention that they are inside the Qianyuan sword sect, as well as high-level Yi'in, who act as protective umbrellas for them. Therefore, Chen Daoxian wanted to cooperate with Fei Chenxue once. For his Chen family, it can open the trade barriers of the states. As for Fei Chenxue, it can completely remove the stumbling block for her to rule the Qianyuan sword sect. As for the relationship between the two after they have achieved each other's goals, that's a story. Perhaps at that time, Chen Daoxian had already broken through to the Yuanshan stage? Or did Qianyuan Jianzong continue to expand its territory and ease the internal contradictions of Wan Xinghai? These are unknown things. But right now, he and Fei Chenxue had the same goal. The next day, a large spirit boat rose into the sky, mighty, starting from Shuanghu Island and flew in the direction of the Qianyuan Jianzong Zongmen Station. A month later, Qianyuan Sword Sect. In a cave-like world like a fairyland, there are many immortal islands and cranes and birds are flying freely. On the immortal island the temples stand, a scene of the holy land of the immortal family. This cave world is one of the thousands of cave worlds in the Qianyuan Sword Sect. But compared to the cave worlds of disciples and elders, the area of this cave world is extraordinarily huge. It seems that it is almost comparable to some smaller states in Wangxinghai. In a fairy temple, a slender fairy wearing a plain and elegant long brocade dress caressed a pipa with light white fingers and fiddled with it. The sound of the pipa is like jade beads falling on a plate, crisp and clear. Suddenly, the pale jade fingers stopped, and Fei Chenxue raised her head, looked at a position in the hall, and sighed softly. When you come to me, I never knock on the door. When can it be corrected? The words fall. In front of Fei Chenxue, the space was slightly distorted. A white figure suddenly appeared. Fna Qinzhan, who is he? When Qinzhan heard this, he immediately showed a smile on his face and said, "Forget it. Next time, next time." Your injury is good? Hearing this, Qinzhan immediately stretched his arms and said with a smile, "Senior sister, I am the real king of the world. How can this injury stump me?" Concubine Chenxue shook her head. "Don't be careless. Even though Yu Huangzhong has been sacrificed by me for hundreds of years, if you use it with your cultivation, it will still hurt the foundation. After the celebration, you will be fine in this sect. Get some training." Speaking of this, Fei Chenxue seemed to think of something, and there was a faint smile on the corner of her mouth. "Just in time. Let my senior sister hold a double cultivation ceremony for you." The gift of double cultivation? Qinzhan was stunned when he heard this, but immediately he knew that senior sister must have misunderstood, and said helplessly, "Senior sister, I am devoted to Taoism and have no interest in matters of men and women." After speaking, he added, "Women are too troublesome." "Okay." Fei Chenxue's eyes narrowed slightly. Cough cough. Qinzhan's face showed a look of embarrassment, but he immediately took it for granted. Women are too troublesome. This is the real thought in his heart. As for his senior sister, concubine Chan Shui, Qinzhan had never treated her as a woman. After being scolded by Qinzhan, concubine Chenxue said angrily, "Forget it, you elm head, think about it, you want mess with flowers outside. Skip this." Concubine Chenxue said about the business. "This time I want to completely take back the power of the sect." "So fast?" Qinzhan frowned. Guyu for so many years, he and Fei Chenxue had completely gained the upper hand from being suppressed by Yi'in and others. In the meantime, there were countless humiliations and burdens. Today, Fei Chenxue finally made up her mind to completely eradicate Yi'in's family. The war in Izumo is over. Now that the foreign aggression has been settled, it's time to get rid of the internal worries. As Fei Chenxue spoke, she gently raised her right hand, only to see 5 rays of brilliance flowing in her palm. Seeing the 5 beams of brilliance in Fei Chenxue's palm, Qinzhan's face suddenly showed excitement. The law of the 5 elements. "Senior sister, have you stepped into the world?" "Okay." Fei Chenxue nodded slightly. I just broke through a few days ago. The laws of the 5 elements are complete, senior sister. You can then divide yin and yang in the small world you created. Repeat the earth's feng shui and fire, and breathe the vitality of the world. Qin was so excited that he was even happier than breaking through to the world. What does it mean to climb to the sky in one step? That's it, ha. Saying that, Qin stroked his palm and laughed. When Fei Chenxue heard this, a smile appeared on her pretty face. I didn't expect it. Maybe it was because of the great pressure between Zhongmin and Xianqing Dao League, so I broke through all of a sudden. Qin nodded. No matter how you break through to achieve the world realm with the accumulation of your background, senior sister, you can break through to the primordial spirit Daojun just around the corner. Junior brother hereby wishes senior sister Xiandao Yongchang. The two laughed for a while. Concubine Chan Zuikio's face was also relieved, showing a faint smile, no longer the cold look she used to be. Qin saw the change of senior sister. He knew that this was because senior sister regained Iron Kingdom and fulfilled the master's will. In addition, the power of Qianyuan Jianzong was gradually taken back by concubine Chunxue, and he naturally felt happy in his heart. After talking about Yin, concubine Chunxue pondered for a moment, then said slowly, Junior brother, what do you think of Chan Daoxian? Chan Daoxian. Qin pondered. After a long time, he looked up at concubine Chunxue. Senior sister, Chan Daoxian's talent is even more than mine. I estimate that it won't take long for him to break through to the world. Concubine Chunxue nodded. It is unheard of for Jin Dan to reach the world realm. Yes. Qin sighed. I sometimes even wonder if this person is a reincarnation of a true immortal from the upper realm. Hearing this, Fei Chenxue laughed dumbly. Since the last Mahayana true immortal ascended to the upper realm, there has never been a cultivator who has broken through to the Mahayana true immortal in the Fengyun realm. How can any true immortal dare to reincarnate into this world? As a cultivator, when he heard that this world was cut off, he felt desperate, but this was the reality of Fengyun world. Speaking of this, Qin was suddenly a little angry. The real monsters in the real demon world are all ambitious, and the war between the two realms has subsided, but the real demon world is always swallowing me Fengyun realm little by little. If things go on like this, let alone the birth of the Mahayana true immortal, I will not be surprised if the heavenly venerate transcends tribulation will not appear in the future. This is also something that can't be helped. The real demon world and my Phoenix meteorite world meet. The real monster world's personality is higher than that of the Phoenix meteor world. It is normal to swallow the Phoenix meteor world. One world devours another. Just like what Chan Daoxian saw in the endless void. The Phoenix meteor realm devoured the small and lonely world around it. The real demon world is bigger than the Phoenix meteor world, and it is common sense to devour the other party. It's just that although the Phoenix meteor realm is not as good as the true demon realm, it is still a main world where the Mahayana true immortal can be born. If the true demon realm wants to completely devour it, at least billions of years can be used as a unit of time. After such a long time, Qin has either become an immortal, or he has been reincarnated tens of thousands of times. So how can he manage the affairs of the real demon world? But now the real demon world devours the Phoenix meteor world. And the impact on the monks in this world is that no Mahayana true immortal is born again in this world. And as time goes by, the cultivation of monks will become more and more difficult in the future. Now Phoenix meteor realm still has Du Jie Tianzuan in charge. Maybe when all of this batch of transcending tribulation celestial venerables have been transformed, only the primordial spirit Daojun will be the one with the highest cultivation base, and after that, maybe there will be only the Yuanying Zhenjuan. By then, the world will usher in a real catastrophe, because the real monsters in the real demon world will definitely make a comeback and launch a war to invade the Phoenix meteor world again. And by then, no one in this world can stop them. In Fengyun realm, anyone with insight can see the future of this realm, but no one cares. Because they all know that each of them will not live to see that day. By the time all this happened, they would have been dead for many years. After I die, who cares if the world will perish? This is the idea of the vast majority of monks, including those heavenly venerate transcending tribulations. When it comes to the future of Fengyun realm, the two suddenly lost interest in talking. Qin bowed his hands to concubine Chunxue, and his figure disappeared instantly. Fei Chenxue fiddled with the pipa irritably and sighed deeply. In front of the general trend of the fusion of the two main worlds, not to mention the suzerain of a second-rate sect in her district, what's the use of transcending the tribulation heavenly venerates gathering together? Rumbling, spirit boats broke through the void and headed towards Qinyuan Jianzong. Vaguely, the residence of Qinyuan Jianzong has been faintly seen. Everyone has set foot on the Qinyuan Jianzong station many times, and the shock of seeing it for the first time has long been lost in their eyes. Chan Daoxian stood on the spirit boat and looked at this sex station that was formed by countless cave worlds. Haven't waited for the crowd to get close. Chan Daoxian discovered that the guardian array of Qinyuan Jianzong was open. Spirit boats entered the Qinyuan Jianzong without hindrance. Just entered Qinyuan Jianzong not long ago. Then a Jindan cultivator flew towards Chan Daoxian and others quickly. Chan Daoxian's eyesight was astonishing, and from a distance, he recognized the master of this dazzling light. This person is none other than the head coach who recaptured Zenangwen with him, the disciple of Fei Chenxue Fairy Qi Yao. Escape light fell on Chen Daoxian's spirit boat. Fairy Qi Yao was wearing a lavender gauze dress, and when she saw Chen Daoxian, she hurriedly bowed to him, and said with a smile on her pretty face, "Friend Chen Daoxian, my tutor is invited. Hear this." Chen Daoxian smiled and nodded. Fairy Lao is leading the way. Done. He shrouded the entire Cangzhou fleet with his divine sense, and said to everyone, "I'm going to see the sect master, everyone please go ahead." Heard. Everyone bowed their hands to the spirit boat where Chan Daoxian was located. Follow the decree of the Patriarch Chan. Complete the orders. Under the leadership of Fairy Qi Yao, Chan Daoxian flew towards a cave world of Qinyuan Jianzong. There are countless cave worlds in the Qinyuan sword sect. If no one leads the way, it is easy to get lost. Certainly, with the formation realm of Chan Daoxian's sixth-order array mage, even if no one leads the way, this spatial confusion will not affect him at all. The two ran fast. Along the way, the two did not speak at all. When it was about to arrive, Chen Daoxian couldn't help but ask, "Does the fairy know what the sect master is looking for from me?" Hearing this, Fairy Qi Yao's pretty face blushed slightly and turned her head. "No, I don't know." Chapter 393. Cave World. In a pavilion with beautiful scenery and beautiful water, a fairy dressed in colorful clothes is sitting in it. "Master." Qi Yao slowly walked to Fei Chenxue. "Chen Jinren has brought it." Heard. Fei Chenxue looked up and down at Chan Daoxian beside Qi Yao, and turned her head. "Go down first." "Yes, master." Qi Yao Fu bowed, and immediately turned into a flash of light and disappeared in front of the two of them. Now, in front of the huge fairy pond, only Chen Daoxian and Fei Chenxue were left. "Friend Chen, please take a seat." Fei Chenxue lightly waved her sleeves and pointed to the stone bench beside her. Chen Daoxian cupped his hands and sat down. The two were only 3 feet apart at the moment, and he could even easily smell the refreshing fragrance on the other's delicate body. "Speaking of which, this is my first private meeting with Daochen." Chen Daoxian nodded. "It's the first time. I talked to my fellow Taoists before, and my younger brother praised him as an extraordinary genius. Now, it seems that my younger brother is still too conservative." Fei Chengshi's beautiful eyes looked at Chen Daoxian gently. "I can't believe that fellow Taoist has entered the world so soon." Chen Daoxian did not change his face and said indifferently, "The sect master has praised it wrongly. Compared with the sect master who has stepped into the realm of dividing yin and yang, and replaying the realm of earth, phoenix, water and fire, this tiny realm below is really nothing." Neither of them expected that the other would actually step into the world. This is especially true for Chen Daoxian. He did not expect that Chen Shui, the concubine of the Qinyuan sword sect, not only entered the world, but also went a step further on this basis, reaching the realm of dividing yin and yang. This realm is also known as the second layer of the world realm, the yin and yang realm. In order to achieve this state, a monk must simultaneously understand the 5 great Tao laws of gold, wood, water, fire and earth, and on this basis, transform the 5 behaviors into yin and yang. In Chen Daoxian's view, it was impossible for Fei Chenxue to comprehend the other 2 Tao laws as soon as she broke through the world. The only possibility is that the other party has already comprehended the 5 Tao laws before entering the world. Such talent, It's terrifying. The outside world has always said that Qin Zhan is the most talented cultivator in the history of Qinyuan Jianzong, but he never imagined that his senior sister, concubine Qian Shui, was no less talented than him. And Fei Qinshui hit deeper. Obviously, his own strength has completely surpassed that of the third elder Yi Yin, but for the sake of the overall situation and the stability of Wan Xinghai, he has endured the opponent for hundreds of years. This forbearance, Chen Daoxian asked himself that he could never do it. At this moment, in each other's eyes, he and Fei Qinshui saw their appreciation and admiration for each other. Chen Daoxian admired the other party's forbearance for the sake of the overall situation. Concubine Qinshui admired Chen Daoxian's unparalleled talent. The most important point is that both sides are very pleasing to each other. To paraphrase Chen Daoxian's previous sentence, he and Fei Qinshui are both handsome. Mimi looked at Chen Daoxian and concubine Qinshui suddenly smiled. Daoqian, what do you think of Wan Xinghai's family power? Chen Daoxian pondered for a moment and said, it depends on whose position we stand. Oh, what's the meaning of this? If you stand in the position of the Xiuxian family, Qinyuan Jianzong is a huge stone that is pressing on their heads, and it is an obstacle preventing them from going further. From the position of Qinyuan Jianzong, Wan Xinghai's family power has gradually formed a trend of inexorable after thousands of years of development. Not only do they dominate the states but also within the Qinyuan sword sect, there are also a large number of intertwined forces. It has already caused a serious threat to the rule of Qinyuan Jianzong. Hearing these words, Fei Qinshui breathed a sigh of relief and said slowly, you are right in your analysis, the Qinyuan sword sect seems to be at its peak, but in fact it is already in jeopardy. There are more and more elders in the sect who are entangled with the interests of the Xiuxian family, and they have even affected my control over the Qinyuan sword sect. The sovereign is referring to Yi Yin? Fei Qinshui nodded and shook her head again. Not only Yi Yin, he is just a representative of these elders, and even Huyanqi and the others, isn't it inextricably linked with the major immortal clans? Hearing this, Chen Daoxian was silent. Perhaps Huyanqi himself did not have a deep connection with Wan Xinghai's cultivating family, but Huyanqi was in charge of the refining hall, and there were more than 1 million disciples in the hall. With so many people, how could they not be involved with Wan Xinghai's immortal cultivation family? In fact, Qinyuan Jianzong has developed to the point where it is today, and it has been deeply tied to the Xiuxian family. There are too many disciples of the Qinyuan sword sect who have become Taoist companions with the disciples of the Xiuxian family. Their children either joined the Qinyuan sword sect or returned to the Xiuxian family. When these people who join Qinyuan Jianzong have a high level of cultivation, and after Qinyuan Jianzong occupies a high position, can they be cruel to their mother clan? Impossible things. Although Qinyuan Jianzong also realized this later, he began to review these disciples who were admitted to the gate, and those children who were deeply involved with the Xiuxian family were not accepted. But the ban came too late. There are already too many monks who are deeply involved with the Xiuxian family, occupying a high position in Qinyuan Jianzong. It is impossible for Qinyuan Jianzong to completely abandon the influence of the Xiuxian family. On the other hand, Qinyuan Jianzong also needs to rely on family power. Whether it is Wan Xinghai's more and more real demon world passages, or facing the foreign enemy of the Xianqing Dao League, the family forces are required to contribute. Therefore, Fei Qingshui's feelings towards Wan Xinghai's Xiuxian family are quite complicated. Use it and guard against it. To this end, Fei Qinshui began to send troops out of the Cloud Country, more than 400 years ago, to support the scattered cultivators to counter the growing power of the family. So far, this seems to be a good move. With the rise of the scattered cultivator power, the family power has indeed felt an unprecedented crisis. This is also the case. In the past 400 years, the ties between the forces of the Wan Xinghai Xiuxian family have become more and more close, and the confrontation between Yi Yin and Fei Qinshui has become more and more intense. Seeing Chen Daoxian frowning, concubine Qinshui said with a faint smile on her pretty face, I don't know what position Chen Daoyu is standing on? Hearing this, Chen Daoxian smiled lightly. Could it be that the sect master forgot? He is also a member of the Zhangzhou Xiuxian family. Fei Qinshui shook her head. With your talent, whether it is Qinyuan sword sect or Wan Xinghai's family power, it is not your restraint. You are the only one in Wanxinghai who can jump out of the power struggle. Hear this. Chen Daoxian looked at her in surprise. Chen Daoxian did not expect that concubine Chengshi's evaluation of him was so high. But think carefully. Chen Daoxian has already reached the 6th world realm of the Great Tao. In less than 100 years of cultivation. In the future, it is a sure thing for him to step into the primordial spirit stage or even the tribulation stage. How could such a peerless genius be bound by the small pond of Qianyuan Jianzong? One day, Chen Daoxian and the Chen family behind him will go to a higher world. It was because of seeing this clearly that Fei Chenxue did not have much hostility towards Chen Daoxian. Gu Wei because from the beginning to the end, Chen Daoxian is not a competitor of Qianyuan Jianzong, and he is destined to stand at a higher level in the future. Hearing this sentence, Chen Daoxian finally knew Fei Chengshi's attitude. Sure enough, she was exactly what she thought. This kind of feeling of being in the same heart is very wonderful. Chen Daoxian nodded and said, I would like to be the leader of the suzerain. After receiving a positive reply from Chen Daoxian, concubine Chen Shuajiao smiled and said, Good. When does the sovereign plan to start? Since the external troubles have been settled, the internal troubles should be eliminated as soon as possible. I think this celebration ceremony is a good time. What do you think, Dao Yuchen? Fei Chenxue looked at him and said. Chen Daoxian thought for a while, then smiled and cupped his hands, just as the sect master said. After speaking, he seemed to think of something again and said, It's just. After my Chen family helped the sect master to eradicate the opposition forces of the sect, how should Qianyuan Jianzong and my Chen family get along? Chen Daoxian said these words very calmly. It doesn't look like what a Xiuxian family patriarch under the rule of Qianyuan Jianzong should say. His remarks completely placed the Chen family on the same level as Qianyuan Jianzong. Although the power of the Chen family is far from that of the Qianyuan sword sect, there is still a huge gap. But just because Chen Daoxian is one of the only 3 world realm cultivators in Wanxinghai, and he is the youngest one, he is qualified to say such a thing. Because whether it is Chen Daoxian or Fei Chenxue, they all know that with Chen Daoxian's talent sooner or later, he will break through to the Yuanshan stage, and even this time will not be long. At that time, how can Qianyuan Jianzong order a family of Yuanshan Daojun? The relationship between the two parties is destined to no longer be a subordinate relationship. Both of them are well aware of this. Who knows that Fei Chenxue heard these rebellious remarks, not only was not angry but smiled. Fengyun world is very big, in your eyes the vast Wanxinghai. Looking at the entire Fengyun world, it is only a remote place. And the vast Phoenix meteor realm, looking at the endless immortal realm, is only a trivial world. Just like you and I, when you reach a higher level and look back at today's words, you will find it very ridiculous. Perhaps by that time, neither Qianyuan sword sect nor Wanxinghai will be taken seriously by you. Concubine Chenxue paused. I heard my junior brother say, you and he both accepted the inheritance of Wanxinghai, right? Chen Daoxian nodded. This kind of thing is a secret to outsiders, but it is not a secret thing to Fei Chenxue. Based on the relationship between Qin Zhan and her, he would definitely tell each other. Although I have never participated in the inheritance trial of Wanxinghai, I know that this is an inheritance trial used by a major force in the upper realm to assess the disciples. You say, compared to this immortal power, what is my Qianyuan sword sect? Concubine Chengshi's words made Chen Daoxian silent. Before he knew it, he had come to where he is today. Whether it is strength or potential, he can really suppress one side. With the Dao realm of his world realm, let alone in Wanxinghai, even if he looks at the entire Fengyun realm, he is no longer a dispensable little person. You must know that since the war between the two realms has subsided, the heavenly venerate Du Jie has rarely been born. There is no time to care about the power struggle in Xianyenzhu. In the eyes of Du Jie Tianzuan, battles between second-rate sect forces and even first-rate sect forces are meaningless things. What the heavenly venerate transcends tribulation seeks is to become a true immortal of the Mahayana, to ascend to the upper realm, and to live the same life as heaven and earth. Instead of nesting in the Phoenix meteor world, fighting each other for a resource that they have long despised. Because Du Jie Tianzuan knows that even if they obtain more resources from the Phoenix meteor realm, the more karma they will repay in the future. Low-level monks killed people and captured treasures, and used various resources to improve their cultivation, which seem to be very lively. But they don't know that everything that fate bestows comes at a price. This kind of thing sounds illusory, but when it comes to the transcendence period of cultivation, it can be really felt. For heavenly venerate transcending tribulation. If they can avoid karma, try to avoid karma. Otherwise it will be unfavorable for them to transcend tribulation. The situation of starting the two realms war is different. Ordinary tribulation cultivators consume resources to cultivate in the Phoenix meteor realm, which is due to the cause and effect of this realm. The battle with the real demon realm in the Liangjiyuan battlefield is to prolong the life of the Fengyun realm that is being swallowed by the real demon realm. Although the fate of the fusion of the Phoenix meteor realm and the true demon realm has been destined, doing so is considered to make the Phoenix meteor realm owe the cultivator karma, which will be of great benefit to the cultivator who crosses the 9 heavens tribulation. People are like this, good things do not need supervision, they run faster than anyone else. Seeing that Chan Daoxian did not speak, a smile appeared on the corner of concubine Chengshi's mouth. Of course, if you are still worried about Chan Daoxian, our two families can be a good marriage. Marriage? Chan Daoxian was stunned, he couldn't help widening his eyes and murmured, is the sect master joking? What's the joke? Concubine Chinshua had a natural expression, the political marriage between the two of us will ensure that we will get along more harmoniously in the future, just like the Xianyang school and the Qingwei Dao school, which were originally the marriage of the ancestors of the two factions, in order to bring about an alliance between the two sides. But Chen Daoxian looked at Fei Chenshua carefully, and had to admit that Fei Chenshua was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. His Taoist companion Luo Li may have their own advantages in appearance compared to her, but in terms of temperament, Fei Chenshua is much better than Luo Li. Fei Chenshua was stunned by Chan Daoxian staring at her. Suddenly, she thought of something, her pretty face flushed red. She stood up suddenly and scolded, "You, what do you think?" "I didn't think of anything." Chan Daoxian was quite innocent. "Didn't you, sect master, propose a marriage between us?" "No. I mean you marry my disciple Qi Yao." Fei Chengshi's face was blushing, and even her snow-white neck turned pink. Fairy Qi Yao. Chen Daoxian suddenly remembered Fairy Qi Yao's shy appearance before, and his face suddenly froze. He got it wrong. For a while the atmosphere between the two was very awkward. A long time. The two sides adjusted their mentality, but this time, both of them were a little embarrassed to look at each other's faces. Concubine Chinshua has practiced for nearly 800 years, and in terms of age I don't know how much older than Chen Daoxian. But for cultivators, as long as the cultivation base continues to break through, the years will not leave the slightest trace on the body at all, and age does not matter. At the age of concubine Chinshua among the Yuanying monks, she was actually very young. Not only that, with concubine Chengshi's cultivation, she will definitely break through to the primordial spirit stage within 1,000 years and become a primordial spirit Taoist. At that time, she will have 10,000 years of life. If it's a political marriage, then marrying the disciples of the sect master of Qianyuan sword sect, how can it be reliable to marry the sect master himself? Seeing Fei Chengshi's shy appearance, Chen Daoxian suddenly had this thought in his heart. Chapter 394. Cough cough. Chen Daoxian coughed in disguise. When Fei Chenshua heard him coughing, she couldn't help turning her head, looking at the fairy pond outside the pavilion, and changed the subject. "Since you and I have the same goal, wait until the celebration ceremony when you see my expression and act. I have already collected all the evidence of Yin's crime, so I don't need to worry about it. Fellow Taoist Chen, farewell." After all, Fei Chengshi's figure gradually faded, until she completely disappeared in front of Chen Daoxian. In order to avoid embarrassment, the other party actually moved directly in front of Chen Daoxian, to his newly opened small world. Seeing concubine Chen Shui fleeing away, Chen Daoxian couldn't help but smile slightly. The space rippled slightly, and his figure disappeared in place. Wait until Chen Daoxian leaves for a while. Inside the gazebo, a concubine Chen Shui, who was wearing neon clothes and fairy clothes, appeared in the pavilion again, looking at the place where Chen Daoxian disappeared, and was lost. Even as the woman with the highest power in Wanxinghai, Fei Chenshua had to admit that Chen Daoxian was indeed the best match for countless female cultivators. Whether it is appearance, character, talent, strength, they are all outstanding people. If there are any shortcomings in Chen Daoxian, It is probably that the background is not amazing. Compared to the strength of Chan Daoxuan's top true monarch, the Chun family behind him is not worth mentioning. As far as Fei Chenxue knew in the Phoenix Meteor realm, it was almost unheard of, such as Chan Daoxian, who had broken through to the world realm in the Golden Core stage. Even if there is such a perversion, it is secretly cultivated by some ancient immortals or sects using various extremely precious resources in various small worlds. The most crucial point is that they cannot be as young as Chen Daoxian, and they have only practiced for a few decades. Qin Zhan was known as the most talented monk in the history of Qianyuan sword sect, and it took hundreds of years to reach the 6th level of the Great Tao. Chan Daoxian, who only took 1/10 of the opponent's time to achieve Qin Zhan's achievement, has never heard of Fei Chenxue. This is also the reason why Fei Chenxue believes that her Qianyuan sword sect and Chen Daoxian are not destined to become rivals. Because of the speed of Chan Daoxuan's rise, it seems that the contradiction between the Chun family and Qianyuan Jianzong will soon cease to exist. It is impossible for Qianyuan Jianzong to control such a peerless genius. Not to mention their Qianyuan Jianzong, a sect force that is only second-rate in Xianyun continent, is an ancient sect that ranks among the top forces, and it may not be able to control a monster like Chan Daoxian. This kind of peerless genius either befriend him or completely destroy him while the opponent is weak. Anyway, don't try to control him. As for strangling Chan Daoxian in the bud, Qianyuan Jianzong had no such chance, and Fei Chenxue would not do such a stupid thing. She could see that the Qianyuan sword sect wanted to really occupy a place in Xianyunzhu, and the chance was on Chan Daoxian. This is also the reason why she just proposed to marry the Chun family. She is not simply to ease the conflict of interests between the two sides in the future. Inside the gazebo, concubine Chenxue stood quietly, until Fairy Qiyao appeared behind her. She came back to her senses. "Master!" Behind Fei Chenxue a weak voice sounded. Fairy Qiyao bowed slightly, resisting the fiery shyness on her pretty face. Her beautiful eyes full of anticipation. "I don't know. I wonder how he responded." Hearing this, Fei Chenxue was suddenly shocked. "Well, this," he said to think about it. "So it is." The loss on Fairy Qiyao's face disappeared in a flash. Fairy Qiyao doesn't know why. Since the first time she saw Chen Daoxian, she has an inexplicable affection for him in her heart. Otherwise, she would not have stayed in Guanhai Xianqing when she first saw each other. At that time, although the light on Chen Daoxian was dazzling, it was limited to the low-level monks in Songzhou. In the eyes of high-level cultivators, a foundation-building cultivator in the Chan Daoxian district is really insignificant. But I didn't expect that in just a few decades the cultivator of the foundation-building stage of that year not only became the late stage of Jindan, but also broke through to the 6th level of the Dao realm, opening up a small world of his own. The reason why Yuanshan Daijin's cultivation forces are hailed as first-class forces by the outside world is because of the small world that Yuanshan Daojun opened up, and is independent of Fengyun realm. The small world that Yuanshan Daojun opened up was different from the cave world where Fei Chenxue lived. In essence, the small world opened up by Yuanshan Daojun can be promoted to the level of Phoenix Meteor realm. And Dongtian world, no matter how much resources are invested, will not be able to exist independently in the endless void like Phoenix Meteor realm. The cave world is dead, and can only be stored in the main world like the Phoenix Meteor world. Seeing the lonely expression of the disciple, for some reason, Fei Chenxue suddenly felt a guilty conscience in her heart. She couldn't help thinking that if the Chun family really married the Qianyuan sword sect, what would be more suitable than the marriage between the head of a clan and the head of a clan? Thinking of this, Fei Chenxue's face couldn't help but turn slightly red. It's not that she didn't know that her disciples belonged to Chen Daoxian, but the more she did, the more she felt an inexplicable excitement. Qiyao didn't know her master's inner thoughts, raised her head, forced a smile and said, "He is different from others. In addition to valuing family interests, sometimes he acts according to his own preferences. I've been with his Taoist companion for a while, and I know their relationship is very good. Chen Daoxian is not a person who can easily empathize, but this is also what I like about him, isn't it?" Hearing her disciple's infatuated remarks, Fei Chenxue immediately cast aside the throbbing in her heart and sighed. "Children, although Chen Daoxian is talented, he must not become the obsession in your heart. Your practice is not good. You know, when I wait for a monk, I can only rely on myself in the end. The disciple knows. Fairy Qiyao lowered her head and said softly, out of the cave world where Fei Chunshua was located, Chen Daoxian casually found a Zifu period disciple of Qinyuan Jianzong and asked him to lead the way. Although Chen Daoxian stayed in Qinyuan Sword sect for a period of time, he still knew too little about its internal environment. The sect of Qinyuan Jianzong is different from that of Qingwei Taoism. The sects of the Qingwei Taoist sect are based on high-level spiritual veins that crisscross. Qinyuan Jianzong did not have such a good geographical environment. It was defeated in Wuxia and lost all the territory of Izumo. Naturally, it could not find any treasures to rebuild the sect's station. Therefore, the current sect of Qinyuan Jianzong, strictly speaking, is somewhat like a super-large instrument. It's just that this super-large magic weapon is composed of independent cave worlds. Taken out individually, these cave worlds are not worth mentioning to the sect forces of Xianyunsu, but putting them together and forming a battle can be a little scary. The core part of the Qinyuan Jianzong Zongman's residence is a super-large island in Wuxia. For thousands of years, Qinyuan Jianzong refined this island into a cave world and regarded it as the foundation of this thousands of cave worlds. Other cave worlds are attached to this super-large island, but that's also the problem. Because the world of the cave is no better than the spiritual veins of the outside world, it itself cannot be rich in resources. The various spiritual qi, spiritual plants, and spiritual minds required for monks to practice are highly dependent on the outside world. Including this super-large island, since it was refined into the cave world, it has been separated from the Fengyun world by one layer. Gugu, although this method has improved the security of Qinyuan Jianzong sect by several grades, it has also brought huge resource pressure to Qinyuan Jianzong. This means that the resource consumption of Qinyuan Sword sect is highly dependent on the outside world. This is also one of the reasons why Qinyuan Jianzong launched the Izumo War. The huge resource consumption of the Qinyuan Jianzong Zongman station, relying only on the supply of the Wuxia states, has been somewhat unbearable. At that time, in front of Qinyuan Jianzong, either Wan Xinghai started a civil war or expanded externally, and there was no third way to go. Chan Zhenren, the cave in front of you is the place where the Zhangzhou cultivators participated in the celebration ceremony. Beside Chan Daoxian, a monk dressed in the robe of a disciple of Qinyuan Jianzong respectfully said, "Okay." Chen Daoxian nodded slightly. He couldn't help thinking that the Zhangzhou cultivator also came to accept the award from Qinyuan Sword sect after the last time the corpse tide in Zhangzhou was quelled. At that time, they only lived in a palace in the cave of the island. Like now, the entire cave world was temporarily handed over to the Zhangzhou cultivators. Qinzhenren, here we are. With that said, the Zifu cultivator stopped, took out a jade pass from his storage bag, and handed it over. This is the pass order specially made by the refining hall for this celebration. Keep it. Zifu monk bowed. It's work. Chen Daoxian smiled and cupped his hands. Who knows that this Zifu cultivator saw Chen Daoxian being so polite, and was immediately frightened. Chen Zhenjin has ruined the younger generation. Seeing his appearance, Chen Daoxian was no longer polite and photographed the token from the air. Just by immersing the divine consciousness in it, you will instantly understand the usefulness of this token. I saw that he injected a mana into the token, and the cavern world barrier in front of him immediately showed a portal. Chen Daoxian stepped into it, and the door slowly disappeared. Watching Chen Daoxian leave, after a long time the Zifu cultivator slowly relaxed. He found that this Chen Zhenren was not as ferocious as rumored. The battle to become famous was to kill Xuetu Zhenren, and then in the battlefield of Izumo, he killed Yuanying Zhenjuan of the Xianqing Dao League like a dog. Finally, he returned to Wan Xinghai from the battlefield of Izumo. The first thing the other party did was to kill Taizhou's overlord family, the patriarch of the Zhang family, at the family residence. Along the way, Chen Daoxian killed not many people, but they were not unknown people. Therefore, the outside world gave him the title of a real Rakshasa. Of course, this kind of name is called by everyone in private, and no one is so brainless that they dare to call the name Chen Daoxian in person. Enter the cave. A different scene came into Chen Daoxian's eyes. I have to say that there is one place in the sect of Qinyuan Jianzong sect that is particularly good, that is, the scenery in each cave is different. These caves can be adjusted to various seasonal climates and even landforms according to the needs of the owner. There are floating immortal islands, snow peaks, mountain forests and lakes, and ancient immortal cities. In short, every cave in Qinyuan Jianzong has different scenery. Like Huyanqi's dojo, it is a volcanic furnace. People with weak will can't stay in that kind of place for a moment, but Huyanqi is happy. This time, the cave world where Chan Daoxian and the others lived was an ancient fairy city. Outside the fairy city, there are also large snowfields and special Linghu scenery. Combining the snowfield and the spirit lake is almost impossible in the eyes of mortals, but for monks, it is only a matter of arranging a formation. This cave world is not very big. With Chan Daoxuan's consciousness, he could easily cover the entire cave world. With his consciousness swept away, he quickly found the residence of Luo Li and the Chan family. However, when his consciousness swept across Luo Li, his face instantly turned cold. In the fairy city, in the Lingfu where the Chan family members stayed, a group of uninvited guests headed by the white-robed cultivator were blocking the Lingfu where the Chan family members were staying. In front of Lingfu, Chan Fuxing was confronting the Jindan cultivator headed by him. The Jindan cultivator's eyes are long and narrow, and looking at his face, he is a sinister and narrow-minded person. The most striking thing about this Jindan cultivator is probably the divine pattern between his eyebrows. This person is none other than Yi Wudao, who abandoned Zenangwen and fled. Do you know who I am? I want to see your patriarch, a cultivator from the purple house in your district. Dare to stop me? Yi Wudao has been blocked by Chan Fuxing all the time. His good words and persuasion failed, and he finally got angry. But Chan Fuxing showed a cold look, neither speaking nor giving way. This gesture completely angered Yi Wudao. Just when Yi Wudao was about to make some noise and let Chan Daoxian come out, the spirit palace formation suddenly opened. Inside the Lingfu, a group of female relatives came out. The leaders were Luo Li and Chan Daolian. Seeing Chan Daolian and Luo Li, Chan Fuxing saluted them immediately. I have seen my aunt, the patriarch's wife. Although Yi Wudao had never met Chan Daolian and others, he had always seen images of important figures in the Chan family, so he recognized Chen Daoxuan's Dao companion at a glance. Before waiting for Chan Daolian and Luo Li to speak, Yi Wudao turned his gaze to Luo Li, bowed and said, "You must be Fairy Luo Li, right?" Luo Li knew the grievance between the Chan family and Yi Wudao, so he didn't give him a good face and said coldly, "You have been entangled here, what the do you mean?" Finally seeing a person who has enough weight in Chan Daoxuan's heart, Yi Wudao said with a happy face, "Fairy Bing, come down. There is indeed an important matter to see Chan Zhenren." Speaking of this, Yi Wudao vowed, "I dare to use my life as a guarantee. This matter is related to the future and destiny of the Chan family in Wangxinghai in the future, and I also asked the fairy to introduce Chan Zhenren for me." Hearing these words, Luo Li, who didn't have much assertiveness, panicked in her heart. She turned her head and looked at Chan Daolian. Chan Daolian took Luo Li's jade hand, patted it lightly, then looked at Yi Wudao and said coldly, "Go away, our patriarch will not see you." This must be Chan Daolian Chan fairy, right? Yi Wudao cupped his hands and said firmly, "I met Dao Chan today just to say one thing. If Dao Chan is still dissatisfied, I will turn around and leave." Just when the crowd was deadlocked, a figure suddenly appeared in front of everyone. Chan Daoxian looked at Yi Wudao indifferently. "What are you looking for in this seat?" Hear this. Yi Wudao only felt a rush of cool air, which ran along the spine to the center of the eyebrows, and entangled in the center of the eyebrows, beating wildly. This man is terrifying. For some reason, Yi Wudao felt a much stronger sense of oppression on Chan Daoxian than his father Yin. "I've seen Chan Dao. No, Senior Chan." Yi Wudao didn't dare to say the word Daoyu, so he lowered his head and called out to Senior Chan. Chapter 395. Yi Wudao, who was still invincible just now, fell down in front of Chan Daoxian at this moment. But people didn't think anything was wrong. Although Chan Daoxuan's cultivation base is the same as Yi Wudao, both of them are in the golden core stage, but his real strength is even better than his father Yi Yin, and he is naturally qualified to win in front of Yi Wudao. Feeling the pressure on his back like a thorn, Yi Wudao couldn't help but breathe a little faster. Senior, Yu Wudao bowed his body with a very humble attitude. The junior knows that there were some misunderstandings between the junior and the senior, but fortunately these misunderstandings did not lead to actual disasters. The two of us can totally rebuild. Seeing that Chan Daoxuan's face remained unchanged, Yu Wudao's tone became even more eager. Besides, the Chun family behind you, Senior, is also one of the many immortal cultivators in Wanxinghai, and the two of us should belong to the same camp. Since taking the throne, Fei Chenxue has been suppressing our family powers, supporting scattered cultivators, and all kinds of behaviors, all of which are obvious to all. Chen Daoxian looked at him expressionlessly, and said coldly, "If that's all you want to say, you can get out now." Yu Wudao didn't know that in Chen Daoxuan's heart, he had already sentenced the other party to death. Now I keep the other party, and I just want to wait until the celebration ceremony, and seriously punish him in the face of fellow practitioner Wan Xinghai. Seeing that Chen Daoxian was so insufferable, Yu Wudao finally released his big move. "Perhaps, Senior, you think that after Qin Zhan broke through to the world realm, the sect master's lineage has soared. But I'm afraid Senior doesn't know that our family's power is not without foundation." Speaking of this, Yu Wudao showed a hint of arrogance on his face. "Roll. Say it." Chen Daoxian raised his hand, and the lines of the law circulated in his hand. Immediately, with a flick of his finger, Yu Wudao and others were flung out by Chen Daoxian like a flies. Next moment, dozens of miles away, Yu Wudao lowered his head and saw a huge gap appear in his chest. At the chest, countless granulation buds are surging frantically, repairing the wound. In just a few breaths, the gap in Yu Wudao's chest was completely repaired, but just looking at his pale face, Chen Daoxuan's casual blow still caused him a lot of injuries. As for the few Jindan cultivators he brought, it was even worse, all of them were seriously injured. Seeing the misery of everyone, Yu Wudao was full of resentment in his heart, but he didn't dare to say a word, for fear that Chen Daoxian would really kill him and kill him here. At that time he can't handle it. "Let's go." Yu Wudao looked angrily at the Lingfu in the immortal city, and did not dare to speak harshly, but just waved his sleeves and turned into a flash of light to leave. The people accompanying him all followed behind him with gloomy expressions and disappeared in place. In front of Lingfu, everyone in the Chen family looked happy when they saw the patriarch dismissing Yu Wudao, who was entangled here. Once upon a time, Yu Wudao was like a big mountain, pressing on the hearts of the Chen family, making people unable to breathe. But now, even without Chen Daoxian, the Chen family is not afraid of a golden elixir cultivator like Yu Wudao. Among the crowd, only Luoli still had some worries on her face. She took advantage of the lack of attention of the crowd, and secretly said through a voice transmission, "Chen Lang, just listening to the other party's tone, it doesn't seem like she is bluffing. Hear this." Chen Daoxian replied with a smile, "Of course it's not bluffing. Speaking of which, they really found a great backer." "A great backer?" Luoli was even more surprised. This kind of information should be a top secret in Yin's camp, and it is impossible for non-important people to know it. How did Chen Daoxian know? Seeing Luoli's puzzled appearance, Chen Daoxian smiled. "When I killed Zhang Taiyuan, I left my avatar in Zhang's house, perhaps because I valued my avatar's status as a high-level array mage. As soon as the avatar became a guest of the Zhang family, he was entrusted with an important task. A narrative." Luoli finally knew why Chen Daoxian knew Yin's cards. "You mean Yin and the others have introduced foreign enemies?" Luoli was very angry. After all, the battle between Yin and the Qinyuan sword sect master is just a battle of internal forces. As long as Yin admits defeat in time, concubine Chenxue will not kill him. But when foreign enemies intervene, the situation is very different. After Luoli listened to Chen Daoxuan's words, while he was angry, he was even more afraid. Fortunately, Chen Daoxian left a secret son in Zhang's family. Otherwise they might have been successfully calculated by Yin and others this time. In another large cave world. In the cave there are many immortal islands floating in the sky, and on the immortal island, countless palaces are surrounded by clouds and mists, showing the imposing manner of the immortal family. Among them, it is located in front of a palace on the central fairy island. Several escaped lights landed. It was Yu Wudao and others. Unhindered all the way, Yu Wudao walked into a hall with a gloomy face. Inside the hall, 4 monks are sitting cross-legged. In the middle is the core leader of the Wan Xinghai family, Yin. Yin's left-hand side is also an old acquaintance of Chen Daoxian, the leader of the Xianqing Dao League Yi Tianqi. To his right is the current patriarch of the Zhang family, Zhang Taihao. As for the one on the far right, he looked like a young monk, but his cultivation was the same as Yi Yin, and he was also in the late nascent soul. And the momentum on his body is even better than Yin, not weaker than Yi Tianqi, the leader of the Xianqing Dao League on the far left. This person has a great background, and it is the help that the Zhang family has found. When everyone saw Yi Wudao rushing into the hall, Yi Tianqi laughed, turned his head and said, "Brother Yi, it seems that you are more accurate in looking at people." Then Chen Daoxian really refused. Yi Yin's face was very calm when he heard this, and said, "A peerless genius like Chen Daoxian must have a very proud temperament. My son once humiliated him in front of everyone, but now he has the upper hand and won't take it lightly. Compromise." Yi Tianqi nodded. "After all, I still have to do one." However, the young cultivator on the far right was very disdainful when he heard Yi Yin and Yi Tianqi praise how genius Chen Daoxian was. But he also didn't want to argue with the crowd about such a boring topic. Gu Lian, if it wasn't for Zhang Taihao, a side branch of the Zhang family, who found him through an ancestral object, it would be impossible for him to come to a barren land like Wuxia. A monk like Zhang Chongya, who came from the ancient immortal clan, either cultivated in the many small worlds of the Zhang family of the ancient immortal clan, or fought with the demons in the extraterritorial battlefield of Liangjiyuan. They seldom paid attention to the struggles between the sect forces in Xianyunzhu, let alone the internal power grab of a second-rate sect in Wan Xinghai. Okay, let's not gossip. Zhang Chenye's expression was rather impatient. He looked at Yi Wudao and asked, "Let me ask you, how does Chen Daoxian choose?" Hearing this, Yi Wudao's face changed for a while. He quickly lowered his head, and said in fear, "Senior, Chen Daoxian is arrogant and domineering. Not only did he not agree to join us, he also injured the junior and others." Heard. Yi Yin took a deep look at Yi Wudao. The so-called knowing son is no better than his father. Yi Yin had some doubts whether Yi Wudao really clarified to Chen Daoxian. But thinking of his own strength, Yi Yin didn't talk anymore. No matter how you count on their side, there are 2 real-world real monarchs, Yi Tianqi and Zhang Qingya, especially Zhang Chongya, who was born in the Zhang family of the ancient immortal clan. And Zhang Chongya, as the arrogance of the Zhang family, naturally saw that Yi Wudao's words were a little untrue, but he didn't care about that. In Zhang Chengye's eyes, the purpose of his trip was not to help Yi Yin seize power, nor to recruit Chen Daoxian. He came here for only one purpose, that is, to find the lost ancestor of the Zhang family, the Qingmu Ding. This greenwood cauldron itself is not precious. After all, the Zhang family has a complete method of refining the greenwood cauldron. With the background of the Zhang family, the 4th-order green wooden cauldron, the Zhang family can refine as much as they want. But this green wooden tripod is different. It is rumored that this green wooden tripod was made by the ancestors of the Zhang family in ancient times. Its symbolic meaning to the Zhang family is far better than its actual function. If Zhang Qingye can find this thing for the family, he will definitely be appreciated by the gods in the family. That's what he values most. In Zhang Qingye's opinion, it would be best if Chen Daoxian could rely on them and hand over the Aoki cauldron himself. If it is not possible, it is not unreasonable to force him to hand over this thing after beating him. Based on Zhang Qingye's many experiences in the battlefield outside the 2 realms abyss, not to mention a cultivator in the Jindan stage, who is a cultivator of the same cultivation level in the nascent soul stage, there are only a handful of people who can be regarded by him. The existence of the top true monarch in Xianyun continent, looking at the battlefield outside the 2 realms, is only a slightly stronger ant. In the 2 realms, the main force of the battle between the 2 sides is the monks above the nascent soul stage, and the demons above the demon master level. Because only after reaching the nascent soul stage, one can briefly survive in the battlefield outside the 2 realms abyss. Otherwise, there is only Jindan cultivation base, and it is impossible to survive in the endless void, because aliens like Chen Daoxian are hard to find after all. Only the battlefield outside the 2 realms is the real battleground of Tianjiao. Over the years, although there has never been a fierce battle in the battlefield outside the 2 realms, It is not uncommon to see battles similar to those between Yuaning Zhenjuan and Yuanshan Daojun. The high-level officials of the two sides also seem to be happy to use the battlefield outside the two realms to train younger disciples. As long as there is no heavenly venerate war. In the eyes of high-level officials from both sides, the mere battle between Yuaning Zhenjuan was nothing at all, and this was the only way for all the powerhouses in the Phoenix Meteor realm. Zhang Qing's face was quite displeased. He raised his hand. Okay, I have no interest in knowing the grievance between you and Chan Daoxian. I only care about one thing, taking back the ancestral Aoki Ding of my family. Seeing that Yi Wudao still wanted to defend himself, Yin coughed lightly and said with a smile, Zhang Zhenjuan said very much. After that, he glared at Yi Wudao and scolded lightly, useless waste, don't retreat. First injured by Chan Daoxian, and now being reprimanded by his father, Yi Wudao only felt resentment in his chest, but he was not unhappy. However, his strength is low, and there is no room for him to argue here. Wait until Yi Wudao walks out of the palace. Zhang Qingye remembered something, looked at Yi Tianqi and Yin with a smile on his face, and said, as far as I know, the Xianqing Taoist League and the Qingwei Taoist sect are hostile, right? Hear this. Yin's complexion changed slightly, but immediately, he regained his composure and said with a chuckle, Zhang Zhenjuan doesn't know something. The sect master of this sect is doing the opposite, suppressing my family's power in Wangxinghai, and improving the status of loose cultivators. It is really disgusting. Although Alliance leader Yi had been hostile to our sect before, he was even more resentful of concubine Chengshu's suppression of Wanxinghai's Xiuxian family than the conflict between the two sides, so he came to help regardless of previous suspicions. Brother Yi said it well, Yi Tianqi nodded. This time in the Izumo Kingdom battlefield, all the Yuaning true monarchs sent by the Qianyuan sword sect are from the sanctuary. Although the number of these sanctuary true monarchs is large, their strength is very low. It often takes a few talents to rival my Xianqing Dao League, so to cultivate a group of weak monks of the same rank at any cost is simply a waste of the limited resources of the Fengyun world. Zhang Qingye was also born in a Xiuxian family, and he himself participated in many battles outside the territory. He knew how precious the resources of the Phoenix Meteor realm were. In Zhang Qingye's eyes, the limited resources of the Phoenix realm should be used by cultivators with outstanding talent. As for those loose cultivators who fled in the face of war and had poor talent, Zhang Qingye always despised them. In his opinion, these loose cultivators are not even qualified to be cannon fodder on the battlefield outside the two realms. Hearing Yi Tianqi's remarks, Zhang Qingye felt a lot better about Yi Tianqi. As a person who has been on the battlefield outside the territory all the year round, Zhang Qingye has always been dissatisfied with the battles between the various cultivation forces in Xianyunsu. In his opinion, these cultivation forces should go to the battlefield outside the territory to kill the enemy rather than being in the nest of Xianyunsu. But this kind of thing, it is not his turn to call the cultivator of nascent soul. After all, the cultivation forces of Xianyunsu are intricate and complex, and behind almost every sect, there is more or less some connection with the top ancient sects or ancient immortals. If the Jiang family were to force it, it would inevitably spark a conflict between the top sects and top families behind these cultivation forces. The so-called pulling one hair and moving the whole body is nothing more than this. In order to defend against the great enemy of the world demon, the top forces of the Phoenix Meteor realm finally reached an agreement, regardless of the internal struggles in Xianyunsu, and they were dedicated to guarding the two worlds. Only then can the stability within the Phoenix Meteor realm be achieved. Besides, there is another reason for these top forces to let go of the internal battles in Xianyunsu, that is, they hope to raise Gu through these battles so as to screen out some real powerhouses. You must know that in the extraterritorial battlefield of Liangjiyuan, the role that a transcending tribulation heavenly venerate can play is often stronger than that of thousands of Yuanshan Daojun. But the way of practice is like this. The further you go, the harder it is to use the number of monks to make up for the quality. Yi Yin and Yi Tianqi were relieved when they saw the Zhang Jia Tianjio's face gradually softening. This big guy is not easy to serve. Not only is his strength superb, but his background is a mess. With the strength background of Yi Yin and Yi Tianqi, they couldn't afford to offend them at all. In addition, Yi Yin has to rely on the other party's contribution in the future, so he is even more afraid to offend the other party. Jiang Qingye also knew these truths in his heart, but he didn't care at all. Because Jiang Qingye knew that he and the people present were not destined to be from the same world. The goal of Yi Yin and others may just be to become the suzerain of a sect in Xianyunzhu, or at most to break through to the Yuanshan stage. Jiang Qingye, on the other hand, hopes to become the heavenly lord of tribulation and follow the example of his ancestors to sit in Liangjiuan. 7017K. Chapter 396. At the same time. In the cave world where Zhangzhou monks settled, on the peak of the snowfield, a pair of young cultivators like a couple of gods are standing on the top of the snow-capped mountain, looking at the wonders of a green forest at the foot of the mountain. Under the action of the power of the formation, the two extreme scenery of winter and summer are strangely presented in front of the two of them. What a nice view, a time. Luoli stared at the magnificent scenery in front of her, and couldn't help but become fascinated. Chan Daoxian followed Luoli's gaze. The forest and the snow-capped mountains blended together, and there was indeed a different kind of interest. Luoli's sigh reminded him of the idea of traveling to Xianyunzhu in the future when he went to Izumo before. Chan Daoxian nodded with a smile. No matter how beautiful the scenery of Dongtian world is, it is only artificially modified. How can there be the beauty of the vast Xianyunzhu? Xianyunzhu. A look of fascination appeared on Luo Likio's face. I've grown so big. I haven't really seen the appearance of Xianyunzhu. The last time I went to Zenangwan, I was directly on the teleportation formation of Qianyuan Sword sect with my sister Dao Lian, and I failed to pay attention to the scenery of Xianyun continent. Hear this. Chen Daoxian couldn't help feeling a little guilty. It seems that since he established a relationship with Luoli, he has not been with her properly. It's not cultivation, it's dealing with family affairs, or it's participating in the Izumo War. In short, the time he really spent with Luoli was few and far between. But Luoli was always waiting for him quietly, without any complaints. Looking at Luoli's beautiful profile, Chen Daoxian couldn't help but blurt out, "I'll take you to Xianyunzhu to see when this celebration is over. Okay?" Really? When Luoli heard this, she turned her head quickly, her pretty face full of excitement. It was Luoli's greatest wish in this life to be able to get along with Ai Lang and travel together. Even more exciting than making her an immortal. Seeing Luoli's excited appearance, Chun Daoxuan's heart softened slightly. He raised his hand gently, stroked the other person's hair, and said warmly, "Of course it's true, when did I lie to you?" Who knew that Luoli didn't give Chun Daoxian any face at all, glared at her beautiful eyes and said, "Who said you didn't lie to me? You always lied to me before that you wanted to stay with me in the clan, but in the end you always left me alone, roaming outside." Speaking, Luoli lowered her head, feeling a little depressed. The expression on Chan Daoxuan's face was slightly stagnant. He knew that what Luoli said was true. That's exactly what he did. Although according to his thoughts along the way, the situation he faced was too dangerous, bringing Luoli with him did feel like a burden. But Luoli is a living person, she is not a puppet that Chan Daoxian pulls the strings. Speaking of danger, Luoli followed the clan in Wangxinghai to move around and fought, and the dangers encountered along the way were far greater than the dangers encountered by Chan Daoxian. That's called real precariousness. But has Luoli ever flinched? Thinking of this, Chan Daoxian clenched Luoli's roi, and said with a firm expression, "I promise, no matter where I go in the future, I will take you with me." Unexpectedly, Luoli raised her head and shook it gently. She rested her head lightly on Chan Daoxuan's shoulder, and said softly, "I know you have carried too much along the way, the expectations of your clan, your own path, including me. Heavy burdens are placed on you. I can't help you, but I don't want to be your burden, Chan Lang." Luoli raised her head, and her beautiful eyes were in contact with Chan Daoxian. "I just want you to know that no matter what, I will always be there waiting for you, even until the end of my life." "Fool, we will all become immortals, where is the end of life?" Chan Daoxian rubbed the other's little head and said indulgently, "Hurt." Luoli buried her head in Chen Daoxuan's arms and hugged Chen Daoxian tightly with both hands, reluctant to speak for a long time. Luoli never thought about the Zhuang language of immortality in Chan Daoxuan's mouth. Although Luoli's talent is not bad, Looking at the cultivator group, he can also bear the name of a genius. But in the Phoenix Meteor realm, no one has broken through to the Mahayana true immortal for hundreds of thousands of years. With Chun Daoxuan's talent, he does have the confidence to talk about becoming an immortal, but for Luo Li the word immortal is too illusory. She only hopes to be by her lover's side every day, and every moment when she is alive. If this is the case, even if she reaches the end of her life and her life in the future, she will not have any regrets. Just when the two were snuggling together, quietly and tenderly, a ray of light came from far to near, and the two rushed towards them. Sensing that someone is coming, Luo Li quickly let go of her hand and stood beside her beautifully. Chun Daoxian looked at Chun Daolian, who was galloping all the way, and said with a smile, "Is the celebration ceremony started?" "Exactly." When the light fell, Chun Daolian first glanced at Luo Li, then at Chun Daoxian with a smile on the corner of his mouth, and said, "Patriarch, it was the concubine sect master who personally sent someone to invite you." The concubine sect master also brought a sentence, "She is ready, please rest assured." "Okay." Chun Daoxian nodded, then turned to look at Luo Li beside him. Let's go over together." "It is good." Luo Li smiled lightly. About an hour later, the space barriers of the cave world slowly opened, and one after another escaped light, leaping out from the exit of the space barrier, setting off a curtain of light in the air. It's not just the cave world where Zhangzhou monks live. In the cave sky, the main island of Qinyuan Sword Sect, countless escaped lights flew towards the Yunxiao Palace of Qinyuan Sword Sect. Yunxiao Palace, as the highest discussion hall of Qinyuan Jianzong, is also the main venue for the celebration ceremony. It's just that there are too many monks who came to participate in the celebration ceremony this time. A rough estimate is that there are hundreds of thousands of people. This is where representatives from various states, ethnic groups and loose cultivators come to participate. Otherwise, the Zhangzhou cultivator army alone dispatched more than 1 million people. Moreover, the number of Zhangzhou cultivators dispatched in the Wangxinghai prefectures is still relatively low. It can be seen that in this war with Izumo, the number of monks invested by both sides is terrifying. Certainly, the scale of the war between Qinyuan Jianzong and Shenqing Dao League seems to be scary, but the largest number of them are only the low-level monk groups in the Qi refining period and the foundation building period. Gu Dump and these low-level monk groups are often the least qualified to participate in this celebration. So look around. Among the hundreds of thousands of monks who came to participate in the celebration, the most numerous were the monks in the Zifu period, followed by the monks in the foundation building period, and the monks in the Qi refining period who participated in the most battles, but almost no one was able to participate in this celebration. Grand ceremony. Because no matter from the actual effect, or from the unspoken rules of the cultivation world where strength is respected, the most numerous Qi refining cultivators played the biggest role in the Izumo War, and they only acted as cannon fodder. Maybe in the future, some of their group of Qi refining cultivators will break through to the Jindan stage or even higher cultivation because of the resources they gained in the Izumo War. But as far as this Izumo War is concerned, the strength cannot reach the level of nascent soul, and it is impossible to control the trend of this war. Only the nascent soul level war is the key to determining the outcome of this Izumo War. This is also the real reason why the battle between the Phoenix Meteor Realm and the True Demon Realm has never stopped on the battlefield outside the two realms' Yuan territory, but it is not called a war by the two sides. Because in Liangjiyuan Yuan Ing level or even Yuanshan level battles broke out, which would not affect the foundation of both sides at all. Only when Heavenly Venerate Crossing Tribulation takes action, that is the time when the war between the two worlds will start again. It's just that a war of this level has erupted on a small scale since thousands of years ago, and it has never happened at other times. Come down to the reason. The real monsters in the real demon world are not in a hurry to start a war. Because of the personalities of the real demon realm and the real demon realm, the real demon realm has been slowly eroding and swallowing the Phoenix realm. If things go on like this, the real demon world will become stronger and stronger, and the Phoenix world will become weaker and weaker. There is absolutely no need for the demons of the real demon world to rush to fight, because the general trend is on the side of the real demon world. The other party only needs to quietly wait for the decline of the Phoenix Meteor Realm, and when all the transcending tribulation heavenly venerates in the Phoenix Meteor Realm have all sat down, and no new transcending tribulation heavenly venerate can be born, they will reap the fruits of victory. Wouldn't it be safer than going all out with the heavenly venerates of the Phoenix Meteor realm? Even if the strength of the real demon world is stronger than that of the Phoenix Meteor world, what price should be paid to win the Phoenix Meteor world who are desperately resisting? The top powerhouses in the real demon world are not stupid, of course they know how to choose. There is another reason. That is, although the overall strength of the real demon world is strong, the battle between the various forces in the real demon world is even crueler than that of the Phoenix Meteor world. Although there are also power struggles in the Phoenix Meteor realm, they are all limited to the cultivation powers below the first-class level. Like those top powers with the transcending tribulation heavenly venerate, they are influenced by the foreign enemy of the true demon realm, and there is no direct conflict between them. The real demon world is different. Chen Daoxian once set foot in the real demon world, where a demon master at the top real monarch level is qualified to establish a demon kingdom in the real demon world. In terms of the size of the world, the real demon world is even bigger than the Phoenix Meteor world. With such a huge territory, I don't know how many demon powers are flooding it. How fierce will the fight between them be? Although the war between the two realms broke out, the real monsters in the real demon realm realized that if they did not join hands to deal with the monks in the Fengyun realm, it would be difficult for the real demon realm to be an opponent of the Fengyun realm. But the advantages of the real demon realm made the real demon realm unaware of the threat of the Phoenix Meteor realm. Just one point. The true demon realm still has a true immortal level realm demon, while the Phoenix Meteor realm doesn't even have a single true immortal. How can the real demon world be united with such an advantage? Everyone was thinking of getting more resources and benefits from the Phoenix Meteor realm and even from each other, and they were already taking into account the faces of those true immortal level world monsters. And the real immortal level demons usually no longer care about the war between the real demon realm and the Phoenix Meteor realm. Because for the world monsters of their level, they only need to quietly repay the karma of the realm and fly to the upper realm. As long as the cultivators of the Phoenix Meteor realm don't enter the realm of the real demon realm, and want these real immortal realm demons to end up desperately, it is estimated that they are thinking too much. Ancient times, the human cultivators in the Phoenix Meteor realm gained an absolute advantage in the battle with the monsters, and after occupying the dominant position in this world, there were a lot of human cultivators at the level of true immortals. Therefore, the ancient era was also the most glorious moment in the Phoenix Meteor world. After that, the Phoenix Meteor realm ushered in a general trend of collision and fusion with the real demon realm. With the world status of Fengyun realm and true demon realm, even Mahayana true immortals are helpless in this situation. So far, the most tragic war since the encounter between the real demon world and the Phoenix Meteor world broke out, the war of the true immortal level. In that tragic war, many of the true immortal level powerhouses who jumped out of the barrier of Shoun died directly, and tens of thousands of years of cultivation were destroyed in one fell swoop. The real immortal realm that Chen Daoxian went to should be the world left by the fallen real immortal realm after the war. In the battlefield outside the two realms abyss there are many such small worlds. Some were left by the real fairy world monsters, while others were opened up by the Mahayana real immortals of the human race. But now, after these small worlds lost their masters, some of them merged into the Phoenix Meteor realm, or the true demon realm. But more small worlds are still floating in the endless void of the extraterritorial battlefield, quietly withering and dying with the passing of the master, and reduced to ruins everywhere. These world relics seem to be quietly telling how tragic the war was back then. So far, tired of this kind of war, the real immortal level world monsters and the real immortals of the human race decided not to fight, and they all chose to choose another day to ascend. Because for them this war was tragic and meaningless, more like a battle of will. The fusion of the two worlds is a general trend, and no one can stop it. The situation in which the real demon world devoured the Phoenix world cannot be changed, and the future of the human monks has long been doomed. Even if these Mahayana true immortals won the war, what would happen to them? As the Phoenix Meteor realm was swallowed up by the true demon realm, the human race cultivators would eventually usher in the era of the end of the law. What's more, these Mahayana true immortals could no longer stay in the Phoenix Meteor realm. So far, with the last batch of Mahayana true immortals helplessly ascending to the upper realm, No Mahayana true immortal level cultivator has ever been born in Fengyun realm again. And the newly born true immortal world demon in the true demon realm knows this tragic history and does not want to repeat the mistakes of its predecessors. Although the strength of the true demon realm is now stronger than that of the Phoenix meteor realm, if a full-scale war breaks out between the two realms, how heavy should the true demon realm suffer? Obviously you can lie down and win, why bother? It is precisely because of this realization that the real fairy-level demons in the real demon world are all showing little interest in invading the Phoenix meteor world. However, for these histories, the low-level monks living in the Phoenix meteor realm rarely know anything about them. Qianyuan Jianzong has seen the tragic battlefields outside the territory because of the high-level monks who raised their sect to help Liangjiyuan thousands of years ago. There are some sporadic records of these histories in the sect. With Chen Daoxuan's strength and status, he is naturally qualified to read these books. However, only people with strength like him would be interested in Liangjiyuan. As for other low-level cultivators, they may spend their entire lives, not even qualified to set foot in the endless void, not to mention going to the battlefield outside the two realms. Knowing this history means nothing to them. For high-level cultivators, even if they don't deliberately understand this passage, they will eventually see this scene after they open up their own world in the endless void. Chen Daoxuan's time in the endless void was too short, and he was busy opening up his own world. When he builds the world he has created in his spare time in the future, he will definitely find that the Phoenix meteor realm is swallowed up. This is the darkest and most desperate scene. Countless Phoenix cultivators will give up on themselves and change their temperament after seeing this desperate scene, because they know that the path of cultivation that has been striving for a lifetime has actually been cut off. This is also the reason why the higher the cultivator, the less desire to fight. Even if the road is cut off, why are they fighting? Chapter 397. Yunxiao Palace is located on the floating fairy island. One after another escape light cut through the sky and flew towards the immortal island. Chen Daoxian was mixed in the crowd, followed by a large group of cultivators from all ethnic groups in Songzhou, who didn't look very conspicuous. But the monks who were closer to him, after recognizing him, all showed a respectful gesture. The world of immortality is based on strength, and Chen Daoxian is used to it. As all the escaping light in the sky descended, the huge floating immortal island under his feet suddenly became overcrowded. There are hundreds of thousands of monks from Wanxinghai who came to participate in the celebration ceremony this time. Together with the disciples of the Qianyuan sword sect who maintain order, the floating immortal island where the Yunxiao Palace is located has at least more than 1 million monks gathered. So many people are enough to keep up with the population size of Guanhai Xiancheng. After years of development, the Chen family's Guanhai Xiancheng has gradually surpassed the Guang'an Palace Xiancheng in terms of the scale of resident monks, and has become the largest Xiancheng in Songzhou. Although it is incomparable to a giant fairy city like Yuanshan Xiancheng, it can be regarded as a large fairy city in Wanxinghai. But at the moment, the number of monks gathered in front of Yunxiao Palace is on the trend of surpassing the size of the resident monks in Guanhai Xiancheng. It has to be said that this celebration is grand. With so many monks gathered together, Yunxiao Palace must not be able to hold it. Qianyuan Jianzong simply temporarily built an open-air ring venue on this floating immortal island. The appearance of this ring-shaped venue looks somewhat similar to the stadium in Chen Daoxuan's previous life. But this ring-shaped venue is floating in the clouds under the effect of the floating formation. It seems that the style is much higher than the ordinary stadium. Chen Daoxuan's escape light descended in the ring-shaped venue, and his consciousness searched, and soon found the location of the Songzhou cultivator. Just when he was about to take his seat, a voice suddenly came from the Sea of Knowledge. "Fellow Daoist Chen, please come to me and take a seat." Chen Daoxuan's consciousness swept away, and it was Fei Chunxue who was transmitting his voice to him. Chen Daoxian thought for a while, then nodded and said, "Okay, say it." Chen Daoxian looked at Luoli who was beside him, and after explaining a few words, he flew towards the position where concubine Chunxue was. When the light of escape was approaching, Chen Daoxian discovered that all the people sitting here were the most powerful people in Wanxinghai. Chen Daoxian is no stranger to these people. Concubine Chunxue, Qin Zhan, Yiyin Huyanqi, Linwu Zhenjuan. All the big figures that Wan Xinghai is familiar with are sitting together at the moment, and they seem to be in harmony. But most of the people present knew in their hearts what kind of storms awaited them. "Friend Chen, please take a seat." Concubine Chunxue, who was in the first place, pointed to the vacant seat on the left and said warmly. However, before Chun Daoxian could thank him, an inappropriate voice sounded. "Sect Master, it's not appropriate for Chan Zhen to sit here, right?" Hearing this, everyone focused their attention on the speaker. The person who saw the opening was an elder of the Yin faction surnamed Wu in the late nascent soul. This elder Wu has a wide face and a wide mouth, hair like a steel needle, and looks like an upright person. But those who know him know that this elder Wu has always been the vanguard and voice of Yi Yin's faction. In the battle between Yi Yin's faction and Fei Chunxue on weekdays, he was the most ferocious in the front. The reason why he is so active is quite simple. The Taoist companion of the elder Wu is the patriarch of the largest family in Wangxinghai Yuzhou. Concubine Chengshu's suppression of Wan Xinghai's family power had already touched his fundamental interests, so this elder Wu naturally had to be at odds with concubine Chunxue. "Elder Wu, what's wrong?" Before Chan Daoxian spoke, concubine Chunxue said with a light smile, "With Chan Daoyu's achievements and strength, don't you have the right to sit next to me? Say it." Concubine Chunxue stopped giving him face, looked at Chan Daoxian and said, "Friend Chen Dao, please take a seat." "Wait a minute." Wu Kuei stood up and raised his right hand abruptly. Wu naturally admits Chan Zhenren's strength, but if I want to say how great his achievements are, Wu would not agree. With that said, Wu Kuei looked at True Monarch Nascent Soul who was present, and said loudly, "May I ask everyone here, who did not go to the battlefield of Izumo this time? In terms of merit, why can't we compare to fellow Daoist Chan?" "That's right, I admit that Dao Chan made great efforts to recover Zhenan Pass this time, but he and Qin Hall Master fought in the Qingwei Taoist faction. Please forgive Wu for not daring to claim his credit." Hearing this, Fei Chunxue hadn't spoken yet, but Qin Zhan, who was beside him, was not happy. He narrowed his eyes slightly, looked at Wu Kuei Dao and said, "What does Elder Wu mean?" Wu Kuei cupped his hands. Wu did not offend Qin Hall Master, who alone raided the Qingwei Taoist sect. Wu was very impressed. But Wu would like to ask, since Hall Master Qin and Daoyuchan captured Tai Shunshui, where is this treasure now? When everyone heard this, they all fell silent. Indeed, Tai Shunshui is a treasure for the Qingwei Taoist sect, but it is not so for everyone. After all, it is a treasure that can help everyone present to break through to the Yuanshan stage. I wonder who doesn't care. Could it be that the treasure that Qin has seized has to be explained to you, Wu Ku? Qin Zhan did not give in at all, and directly confronted Wu Kuei. But his words made Yi Yin laugh on the side. Sure enough, everyone frowned when they heard Qin Zhan's domineering words. Qin Zhan has carried the reputation of being the most talented of the Qianyuan sword sect all the way to this day, and there are not many people in the sect who are jealous of him, and now he is showing this domineering attitude in front of everyone, which inevitably makes people unhappy. Wu Kuei didn't dare to confront Qin Zhan. He cupped his hands and said, Wu naturally did not question how the Hall Master Qin handled the treasure. But Wu wanted to know whether this treasure was in the hands of Hall Master Qin or fellow Daoist Chan. After all, this thing was the spoils of war in the Izumo Kingdom. However, according to the military merit system of the Gonyun Temple, the trophies won by the monks should be distributed uniformly after the war. This time, concubine Chunxue, who was at the top of the list, finally frowned. Yi Yin and others used the system she made to attack her people. I have to say that this trick is very clever. The military merit system of Qianyun Temple is naturally counted, Fei Chunxue said. It's just that Tai Shunshui was indeed taken by Daoyuchan, and this thing is of great use to it. I wonder if I, as the suzerain of the Qianyuan sword sect, have the privilege of giving priority to the military trophies? Sect Master, you naturally have this power. Wu Kuei bowed and said, it's just that, since Daoyuchan's achievements have been cancelled, how can you still be qualified to sit by your side? See you in the picture. Chun Daoxian looked at Wu Kuei, who was jumping up and down, and found it very boring. He has always believed that the battle of words is the most boring thing. In the final analysis, the world of immortals still speaks with strength. Thinking of this, Chun Daoxian couldn't help but look at the most special one among the crowd. At this moment, Jiang Qingye didn't seem to hear the quarrel of the crowd at all. Even at the most tense moment, he focused all his attention on the delicious wine and food at the table, and he kept on eating and drinking, without the demeanor of the children of the ancient great clan. Chen Daoxian looked at this person and found it very interesting. The attitude shown by the other party gave him a completely different feeling from these immortal cultivating clan disciples in Wan Xinghai. He cares neither about the image nor the battle of words. It seems that all this, in the eyes of the other party, is not as real as the delicious wine and food on the table. The rest of the Yuanying Zhenjuan couldn't help frowning when they saw Jiang Qingye's appearance as a starving ghost reincarnated. If it wasn't for the fact that this person was invited by Yin himself, he would probably have been reprimanded. Even so, everyone still kept a distance from him in disgust. Where did this loose cultivator come from? And I don't understand etiquette at all. It's really disgraceful for my nascent soul cultivator. This fellow Taoist. Everyone shook their heads in their hearts, and even the atmosphere of sword-drawn swordsmanship with Yin and Fei Chunxue on the field was diluted a lot. After Wu Kuei finished speaking, he looked like a victorious general, looking down at Chen Daoxian and said, I don't know what Daochen thinks? Huh. Fellow Taoist Chen. Chen Daoxian didn't seem to hear Wu Kuei's words, so he flew straight in front of Jiang Qingye and cupped his hands. Chen Daoxian, I have seen fellow Taoist Jiang. Jiang Qingye wiped the corner of his mouth, then wiped his hands indiscriminately, raised his head and said, Do you know me? The name of the Jiang family of the ancient immortal clan has been heard a little bit below. Jiang Qingye was quite surprised. But I have never seen you. How do you know my origin? Because of what Jiang Daoyu is on his waist. Chen Daoxian pointed at the jade pendant on Jiang Qingye's waist. If I'm not mistaken, this thing is the token of your Jiang family's children Huanlongji. This time Jiang Qingye's face changed completely. Who are you, and why do you know so much about my Jiang family? Since the conversations between the two were all voice transmissions, outsiders didn't know what Chen Daoxian and Jiang Qingye were talking about. Not only do I know this, but I also know that fellow Taoist Jiang is here for Aoki Ding. Oh, Jiang Qingye probably had a guess in his heart. There should be something wrong with Yi Yin. Otherwise the monk named Chen Daoxian would never have known him so clearly. Yin has always said before what kind of arrogance you are. Now it seems that it is not an exaggeration. With your age of less than 100 years, you have reached the first level of the world, which is extremely rare even in the ancient times. Friend Taoist praised it. Chen Daoxian cupped his hands and said, It stands to reason that the Qingmu Ding belongs to your Jiang family, and Chen should give it to you. But I also got this thing from Jiang Taiyuan, so I can give it to you for nothing, but it won't work. Hear this. Jiang Qingye smiled and said, Since you know that Jiang Taiyuan is also from a side branch of my Jiang family, aren't you afraid that I will avenge him? Revenge. Chen Daoxian smiled suddenly. A descendant of a traitor. Shouldn't your Jiang family thank me? Haha, you're funny. Jiang Qingye rubbed his palms and smiled. I have no interest in the internal battles of your Qianyuan sword sect. But this greenwood cauldron in your hand is the ancestor of our clan. I must take it away, and you can offer a price? Hearing this, Chen Daoxian shook his head. Why, you don't want to? Jiang Qingye's tone was a little bad. Aoki Ding, I can give it to you, but I have to borrow it for a while. This can't be done. I have to rush back to Liangjian. How can I spend time here with you? Jiang Qingye refused on the spot. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian pondered for a while and said, If that's the case, why don't we make a bet? Bet? Yes, bet. Chen Daoxian nodded. The bet is this Aoki Ding. If you lose, Aomu Ding must be kept for me for a while. If you win, you can take it away on the spot. Of course, if you lose, you have to pay another bet. Hearing this, Jiang Qingye thought for a while. How do you want to bet? I have heard for a long time that the Jiang family's children have been guarding Liangjiyuan all year round. Chen admires this very much. Since Chen broke through the world, he has always wanted to go to the battlefield outside Liangjiyuan to see it, but he has not been able to see it so far. Therefore, Chen wanted to ask Dao Jiang for some advice. You want to fight me? Jiang Qingye was stunned. If I'm not mistaken, it will only take you a year to break through the world, and you haven't even consolidated the foundation of the world, let alone dividing yin and yang, and repeating the feng shui fire. Among you people, that fairy can still compete with me 1 or 2 times. As for you, Jiang Qingye shook his head. Well, I don't want to take advantage of you. As long as you can survive 3 moves in my hands, I will let you use the Aoki Ding for a while. Not only that. Jiang Qingye took out another jade slip from the storage ring. This thing is the lucky secret of Wan Xinghai's inheritance, and it must be enough as a bet. Hearing the inheritance of Wan Xinghai, Chen Daoxuan's pupils shrank slightly. You don't have to be so surprised. Although Wan Xinghai is extremely vast, it is too barren after all. The only commendable place here is the inheritance of Wan Xinghai. It's just that for countless years, no one has been able to obtain the true inheritance of Wan Xinghai, and even very few have even broken into the Tongtian Tower. Wan Xinghai inheritance. Tower of Babel. Seeing Jiang Qingye casually revealing the lucky secret of Tongtian Tower, Chen Daoxian was immediately more interested in the jade slip in his hand. Although Chen Daoxian has reached the Tongtian Tower in the inheritance of Wan Xinghai, but according to the Taoist man in white, there are more than 900 people in this world who can break into the Tongtian Tower. It can be seen that there are many forces in this world who know the inheritance of Wan Xinghai. As one of the few top forces in the entire Fengyun realm, the Jiang family had no reason to not know about this upper realm inheritance trial. Moreover, the other party definitely knows more than Chen Daoxian. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian became more curious about the jade slip in Jiang Qingye's hand. It's a word. Happy. Jiang Qingye laughed. Just when the two negotiated everything, Wu Kuei, who was ignored by Chen Daoxian, broke out completely. Humph. Sectmaster, it seems that this fellow Chen Daoist didn't take my Qianyuan sword sect in his eyes at all. The clown jumping on the beam making a noise. With an impatient look on Jiang Qingye's face, he stood up directly, raised his hand and waved towards Wu Kuei. Although Wu Kuei was a late Yuaning cultivator, his strength was not even at the level of a top true monarch, let alone comparable to Jiang Qingye, a genius from an ancient immortal clan. Just when Wu Kuei was about to die under Jiang Qingye's hands, Yi Yin's complexion finally changed. Friend Jiang Daoist is merciful. After saying that, Yi Yin's figure flashed, and he took out a simple shield and blocked it in front of Wu Kuei. 7017K. Chapter 398. Between Electric and Flint. The appearance of Jiang Qingye's sudden attack on Wu Kuei shocked everyone. What surprised everyone even more was Jiang Qingye's terrifying strength. World realm. An elder of Qianyuan Jianzong, feeling the real terrifying pressure on his body, trembled. Just when everyone thought that Wu Kuei would die, Jiang Qingye, who was about to attack Yi Yin with his palm, suddenly stopped. In front of Yi Yin, the quaint shield-shaped instrument was suspended quietly, and Jiang Qingye's jade-like palms were only less than a foot away from the shield. He looked at Yi Yin with a slightly mocking expression on his face, and said, "Do you know why your power and prestige in the sect has become weaker and weaker over the years?" Yi Yin lowered his face, cupped his hands and said, "I also hope fellow Taoist Jiang will enlighten me. Because your strength is too weak." Jiang Qingye did not give the other party any face at all. Your suzerain and her junior brother, one is on the 2nd floor of the world, and the other is on the 1st floor of the world. Do you think you can take the power in her hands by relying on the foreign enemy you introduced? What a big joke, Elder Yi. The most reliable thing in this world is not trickery, but his own strength. After all, he looked at Wu Kuei, who was hiding behind Yi Yin with contempt, his body trembling constantly. Elder Wu, who was in high spirits in front of everyone just now, didn't dare to say a word after feeling the crisis of life and death, so he lowered his head and hid behind Yi Yin without saying a word, completely lost his previous arrogance. Looking at the farce in front of him, Chen Daoxian smiled lightly, his figure flashed, and the next second he appeared in front of the seat beside Fei Chunxue. Chen Daoxian Shiran sat down, looked at Fei Chunxue and said, "I have already negotiated with him." "I heard," Fei Chunxue said softly. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian was quite surprised. Given the strength of his consciousness, it was not surprising for Fei Qingsu to hear his transmission, but Chen Daoxian did not expect that Fei Qingsu's consciousness was stronger than Jiang Qingye's. Seeing Chen Daoxuan's surprised appearance, Fei Qingsu did not explain, but asked casually, "He is on the 2nd floor of the world realm, and he is not far from the realm of feng shui and fire, are you sure?" Chen Daoxian thought for a while, then shook his head and said, "Not sure about it. Although my current strength is much stronger than when I went to the Qingwei Taoist faction, the gap is still very obvious compared to a true monarch who is on the second floor of the senior world. Not to mention that my cultivation is not as good as his." "Knowing that you're no match, you still make a bet with him?" Concubine Chinchua chuckled. "Tell me, what else do you want?" Hearing this, Chen Daoxian couldn't help turning his head to look at Qin Zhan not far away. Qin Zhan felt Chen Daoxian's gaze, and said without looking sideways, "I didn't betray you, it was senior sister who forced me to say it." Sure enough, Qin Zhanjiang told concubine Chenxua that he had borrowed money from the other party before. "You don't need to look at junior brother Qin. I asked him to tell me the whole process of robbing Tai Shenshui. Only by clearly understanding your strength can I not make a wrong decision." These words are already very naked. If Chen Daoxuan's strength is not strong, then the Chen family, as a member of the Wan Xinghai Xiuxian clan, must be in the list of Fei Chengshu's suppression just like other immortal clan. However, with Chen Daoxuan's strength and potential, Fei Chengsu was not allowed to do this. The only thing she could do was to admit the Chen family as an ally. Strength is the foundation of equal dialogue. At this moment, Chen Daoxian couldn't help but have a clearer understanding of this sentence. Fei Chenxua treated him differently, not because he was handsome, but because of his strength. If Yi Yin had the strength or potential of Chen Daoxian, presumably concubine Chenxua would still choose to continue to tolerate the other party instead of solving the other party at the celebration ceremony. "I want Jie Yuanzhu." Fei Chenxua frowned. Although she was puzzled, she nodded in agreement. "How much do you want? How much do you have?" Concubine Chenxua tilted her head. Looking at Chen Daoxian with her beautiful eyes, she said amusedly, "I, Qinyuan Jianzong, rushed to help Liang Jiyuan thousands of years ago. Although I didn't get many other trophies, things like Jiyuanzu are salvaged. To a lot. There is also the new True Demon Realm passage in Wan Xinghai. For so many years my Qianyuan sword sect has been in the passage. Although the conflict with the Qingqiu demon nation is not a big one, I still kill many real demons every year. After accumulating, the Jie Yuanzhu obtained is not a small number." Hearing these words, Chen Daoxuan's breathing couldn't help but rush a little. He immediately stretched out a finger. "I want so much, do you have it?" 10,000. 100 million. Puff. Fei Chenxua picked up the fine wine at the table, and before she could drink it, she almost choked her throat. She couldn't help looking at Chen Daoxian angrily, and whispered, "What is the Jie Yuanzhu you are? Ling Shi? How much do you want?" This time Chen Daoxian was a little puzzled. He looked at Fei Chenxua and said in surprise, "Is the Jiuan pearl very precious? With the strength of the Qianyuan sword sect, it shouldn't be difficult to kill these world monsters." Heard. Fei Chenxua stroked her forehead lightly and said, "It's not difficult to hunt down the world demon, but the preservation of the low-level world origin beads is quite difficult, and the inner world will easily collapse and turn into chaos. This kind of boundary origin orb has no effect at all except to expand the cave world. The Jie Yuanzhu that can really be preserved for a long time with special methods must be at least above the Zifu level. How many such Jiuan beads do you think our Qianyuan sword sect will have?" And many more. Chen Daoxian mind clear why the snow so excited. The other is feeling misunderstood. Thinking he needed source of beads circles have to be high-end. I'm afraid the other party that he is bound to bring higher order source of beads some space instruments used to improve it. But Chen Daoxian he need not source community does not collapse in the sector source of beads he needs, it is the collapse into nothingness, leaving the chaos of the gas sector source of beads. Although both sides say is a community source of beads, but the essence is not the same thing. Aware of the differences between the two sides, Chen Daoxian immediately went on to explain it again. Now Chen faced no more puzzled. "You mean to collapse into nothingness waste beads?" "Right." After Chen Daoxian do not know the source of beads circles there is this stress. He had hunted a big demon purple palace, the resulting boundary source of beads, indeed had a long time to slowly disintegrate. Purple palace level industry source of beads, and indeed with the community to build the base of the demon community source of beads are not the same. So is the waste beads startled me. Fei Chen Daoxian a snow looked hidden bitterness. Waste bead base building stage are substantially below the boundary source of beads. Such beads after removal of the source sector, usually had a chance to process the source sector will instantly disintegrate into nothing state. Cave does not have the value of refining the world. Only Zifu class circles source of beads. Use special techniques in order to preserve their long-term source community leave, pending future concocted into a cave in the world. Chen Shuifei some simple explanation. Chen Daoxian this clear, the original source of beads small community. There are so many distinguished and exquisite. But, really the demon world and Feng Yun border hostilities so long. The two sides will certainly study each other thoroughly. Terran sector monster can swallow monk source community to expand. Terran monk naturally can kill the demon community to use their industry sources beads. But generally speaking, still bound demon side is more to take advantage of. Because they devour human family, can expand its direct source community and improve their strength. Terran obtain industry source of beads, but cannot directly enhance its own power. It can only be refined into a whole day instruments used to train younger disciples' purposes. Like today's Qinyuan Gladius, the entire number of doors, a whole all day by the world constructed. After explaining Chun Fei Snow, acoustic soul with some negotiations Huyanqi a long time. This looked Huyanqi Chun Daoxian look. A look of heartache nodded, then took out a storage ring volley handed over. Chen Shuifei got the storage ring and handed it to the side of Chen Daoxian, said, 100 million waist bead. Chen Fei white jade-like palm, a small storage ring lying still. Chen Daoxian took a deep breath. Cannot wait to get up in the hands of the storage ring. How are you going to do? Your perfect retreat cave instruments used? Fei Chen Snow is quite curious, and she has not never seen a crash course. There are monks, but have never seen anything like Chen Daoxian so excessive. 2 of Dudu celebration right after this ceremony. Even Qinyuan Jianzong grand celebration ceremony again. Less than a month up to the end. A month's time, let alone for a long life element monks, is mortal only a very short period of time. Such a short time, what Chen Daoxian do? Chen faced no ideas. Chen Daoxian do not know. He did not want to bother. At the moment he cared deeply about all hands while small storage ring. While this because of the storage ring filled with history, the largest investment in his wealth was 100 million industry source of beads. Whether or not the waste beads, but in the eyes of Chen Daoxian complete source of beads bound to him but useless. He does not need to be Wonderland instruments used in refining industry source with beads. To complete source community beads doing? Instead, he even got a complete source of beads circles. It will only be a source sector completely destroyed, disintegrating into the chaos of the gas, for golden verses of his knowledge of the sea absorbed. Think of this. Chen Daoxian in front of witnesses point a finger. Immediately, a spherical cage space the Chen Daoxian enveloped. He actually face in front of so many Qian Yuan Jianzong Yuaning Chen Quan directly retreat together. Chen face no ear a soul sounds. Custodian for me. Your. Chen Fei Chen Daoxian Snow cannot help being high-handed way to anger unclear. But helpless. Chen Daoxian is her most important ally in the future. Whether in public and in private, she was from the heart, do not want to offend each other. Otherwise, Chen Daoxian would not be so easy to borrow from the hands of Chen Fei Snow to 100 million industry source beads. Even if these beads are of little value, source community waste bead in the eyes of Princess Chen Snow. But these waste beads also can play a little role in the expansion of the world's cave, not Hawajiati. If not, who will keep a pile of garbage in your hand? Think of this, Chen Fei Snow helpless soul will be enveloped in the space outside the cage. Chen Daoxian set a guard against prying eyes. Chen Daoxian to comprehend space law. He set a cage space, quiet room to be safe than any retreat of the world 1,000 times. Coupled with one of the world throughout his 2-story Zhenjuan law enforcement, enough to make him feel at ease retreat. Outside world. Yuaning Chen Daoxian directly Zhenjuan see other eggshells with cage-like space would have to shut himself up. His face quite surprised. This is Chen reality but also doing. Especially the leaves in et al. In the hands of Chen Daoxian beaten him more than once, even then King Gazuogaishan was also extremely hate that person. However, for all this, eager to retreat Chen Daoxian did not care. Yin did not know in Chen Daoxian alone, all alone to grab a moment to Shen Shui in the hands of hundreds of Yuaning Chen Quan. He was the top Yuaning Chen Quan. She will no longer be looked down on Chen Daoxian. Chen Daoxian all the way up to today from people were not going to look back beyond him. because he knew that if he was beyond, it is no longer possible to his opponent. If this is not possible, his one plug-in is it open to the dog's body went. Inside the space cage, Chun Fei Chen Daoxian, excited to come up with the snow, gave his storage ring. The soul exploration cannot help but be more excited. A full 100 million GUN beads are neatly placed in the storage ring. No wonder Yao Pool had collected chaotic atmosphere. True to his profession, Xianyuan not intended to be natural. When Chun Daoxian had so many GUN beads during his trip to the real fairyland, why would he take that risk so hard? Get rid of distractions. Chun Daoxian frantically broke the Jia Yuan Ju in the storage ring, and suddenly countless chaotic energy, like a silkworm cocoon, wrapped Chun Daoxian's whole person. And as Chun Daoxian's source community continues to get rid of beads, the chaos of the gas enveloped him more and more. Feeling this huge chaotic aura, the golden scriptures in his consciousness immediately reacted and began to frantically absorb these chaotic auras. Countless chaotic energy, absorbed and transformed by golden scriptures, turned into comprehension stardust, and was absorbed by Chun Daoxian's comprehension stars that had shrunk by a large circle. Then, in the aggregate of numerous stars, perception of dust, visible inflated. A whole day, Chun Daoxian maintained this action. 100 million industry source of beads. It is only Chun Daoxian absorbed less than a tenth. Call. Chun Daoxian stopped. It's not that he doesn't want to absorb it anymore, but that his sea of consciousness can no longer hold this huge star of understanding. At the moment Chun Daoxian's space inside knowledge of the sea, the stars almost to catch up with savvy know the size of the ocean space. Roughly estimated, the diameter of this comprehension star is at least more than 2,000 miles, which is many times larger than that after the trip to the true immortal origin realm. If to 100 times a day savvy insight stardust consumed as a standard unit of words. At the moment of Chun Daoxian know the sea, at least the perception stardust savings over 10,000 standard units. In other words, Chun Daoxian capable of understanding 100 times. A whole epiphany million yen, which is 27 years and 4 months. I made. Chun Daoxian looked at the 90 million GUN beads left in the storage ring and muttered. There had never been a moment when he felt as rich as he was today. At this moment, he suddenly felt that it would be a good thing if he could marry concubine Qinxue. It's not that Chun Daoxian is not special with his feelings, but that Fei Chunxue gave him too much. 7017K. Chapter 399. Ying glanced at Zhang Chengye, who was sitting back in his seat, and at Chun Daoxian, who was retreating directly on the spot. He couldn't help feeling that the situation was out of his control. Brother Yi, what should I do now? For a while Yin was a little confused. In the Dongtian magic tool he carried with him, a monk in purple robe sat cross-legged, heard Yin's divine sense voice transmission, and replied, Brother Yi, don't worry, since Zhang Daoyu did not choose to shoot at you. It proves that he does not want to be with you. You turn your face. Besides, you don't even know about Fei Chengsu and Chun Daoxian breaking through to the world, alas. The purple-robed monk kept shaking his head. I have some guesses that Fei Chengshu's lowly servant broke through the world realm, but Chun Daoxian, I really did not expect. How long has this person practiced so far? How can he break through to the world realm so quickly? In Yi Yin's words there was a sense of mad jealousy. Hey Brother Yi, I warned you long ago that Chun Daoxian is a bigger threat than anyone from your Qianyuan sword sect, and you must win him over to our camp, but what do? Send your useless son to solicit. With such a perfunctory attitude, how can it be done? Hearing Yi Tianqi's evaluation of his son Yi Wudeo's success, Yin didn't say anything to refute it, because he thought so in his heart. It's just that he had already found 2 helpers, Yi Tianqi and Zhang Chengye, and he was no longer interested in Chun Daoxian, the top true monarch, and his attitude was naturally a little more casual. However, who would have thought that the other party had already broken through to the world realm? This time, even if Zhang Chengye didn't turn against the tide, they would only have 2 worlds, Zhang Chengye and Yi Tianqi. On the Fei Chenshui side there are 3 world realms, Chun Daoxian, Qin Zhan and Fei Chenshui. Even if Zhang Chengye was born in a great ancient clan, and his strength was amazing, he couldn't do 1 on 3 and still have the upper hand, right? Besides, he had already committed a big taboo by inviting the enemy world's true monarch to attack his own suzerain. If he could destroy the dead, it would be good to say that he could quell the opposition in the sect in one fell swoop. But now, their side is obviously at a disadvantage again. How to make Yi not in a hurry. At this moment he finally felt the meaning of Jiang Qingye's words. If he is the same as Fei Qinxue and has the strength of the second layer of the world, why is he so embarrassed now? Brother Yi, now is not the time to blame. Do you have a way to break the game? Yin said sincerely. Half an hour. Only then did a divine voice transmission come out from the Dongtian magic tool. Wait. Yin heard the words and was silent for a long time before replying. Okay, in a space cage. Since this world was opened up by the monks himself, for this world, the monks are the existence of the creator. So the monks can use the power of the whole world to breed rare treasures in the outside world. For example, the Tai Shenxue bred from the Tai immortal pond of the Qingwei Taoism. If a cultivator reaches the third or fourth floor of the world, he can also open up a Tai immortal pond in his world, and use the power of the entire world to quickly give birth to the Tai Shenxue. There is absolutely no need to wait for thousands of years to condense a drop of Tai divine water like the Qingwei Taoist school. Of course, this kind of birth is not without a price, and the consumption of the power of creation is the price that the monks have to pay. In addition, the power of creation is also of great help to the improvement of the world itself. For example, the world newly opened up by Chan Daoxian is only more than 2,300 miles in diameter. A small world of this size can be said to be the bottom group among all the real monarchs of the world. In the future, with the improvement of Chun Daoxuan's avenues, he will definitely also improve the boundaries of this world. How to improve? Devouring other worlds is indeed a method, but it is not so easy for one world to devour another world. Every world has its own unique consciousness. One world devours another world, and at the same time one consciousness devours another. This kind of behavior of devouring the world has been done too much, and in the end there is only one result, that is, the consciousness of the world is chaotic, and it even affects the monk himself, making him completely a lunatic. Therefore, although the practice of swallowing the world can improve the world level of a monk at a very fast speed, few people do it because the hidden danger is too great. In addition to the rude practice of swallowing the world, the more orthodox way of raising the level of the world is to pour out the power of good fortune. The power of creation is a very magical energy, or is born from it, and the world grows because of it. Comparatively speaking, the role of the power of fortune in improving the rank of instruments and spiritual materials is not worth mentioning. Clear your mind. Chun Daoxian did not procrastinate. Since he is about to bet against Jiang Qingye, he must raise the Dao realm to the second floor of the world realm in the shortest possible time. Everyone is in the same Dao state, plus the advantages of various instruments in his hand. Chen Daoxian doesn't believe that he can't even take the opponent's 3 moves a month. Comprehend the 3 laws and break through to the second level of the world. If there is no comprehension Xingqian, Chen Daoxian would not dare to boast about this high cow. But now looking at the giant celestial body filled with the entire sea of consciousness, Chen Daoxian is very confident. Next moment. One by one jade slips, he took out from the storage ring. These jade slips are all 5-element swordsmanship collected by the Chan family. What Chen Daoxian took out this time was the low-level swordsmanship with 3 attributes: gold, wood, and earth. With his current consciousness, Chen Daoxian can at least be distracted to look at hundreds of thousands of low-level sword tricks. But whether it can be learned or not, only God knows. However, under normal circumstances he cannot learn. But Chen Daoxian can improve his understanding and make the situation abnormal. In the sea of knowledge, the comprehension stars are turning wildly. Chen Daoxuan's comprehension suddenly soared, and the world gradually became different in his eyes. 10 times the comprehension, 20 times the comprehension, 30 times the comprehension, 100 times the comprehension. Soon, Chen Daoxuan's comprehension reached a level 100 times comprehension. This is the most cost-effective comprehension multiple tested by Chen Daoxian. But obviously, Chen Daoxian is now a nouveau riche. He doesn't want any cost-effectiveness. He just needs to improve his Dao realm in the shortest possible time. As a result, his savvy continued to soar. 110 times understanding, 120 times understanding, 130 times understanding. As his comprehension soared, the various low-level sword tactics in front of Chen Daoxian were only swept away by his divine sense, and he realized the perfect state. And he did not comprehend one low-level sword art, but at the same time comprehend hundreds or even thousands of low-level sword art. Soon, thousands of sword tricks turned into of light, which appeared in Chen Daoxuan's sea of consciousness, like stars in the night sky. These thousands of swordsmanships are all of 3 attributes: gold, wood, and earth. With thousands of low-level sword tactics being comprehended, coupled with Chen Daoxuan's unprecedented 230-fold comprehension blessing. In the eyes of outside cultivators, there were 3 sword intents that were extremely difficult to comprehend. Almost in an instant, Chen Daoxian successfully realized it. And the price he paid was that the stardust of perception in the sea of knowledge was consumed wildly, and this huge celestial body was shrinking at a speed visible to the naked eye. The comprehension stardust that originally exceeded 10,000 standard units was consumed by nearly half in just a short moment. But the result was also surprising, that is, he realized 3 new 5-element sword intent in just a few breaths. Next, it is to upgrade these 3 new 5-element sword intent to the law realm. Chen Daoxian has 2 choices: use the power of creation, or simply continue to improve with the stardust of understanding. In the past, it was easier for Chen Daoxian to obtain the power of creation than to obtain the stardust of comprehension. But right now, the situation is just the opposite. He doesn't have a drop of the power of creation in his hand, but he has a lot of comprehension stardust. Therefore, for him, there is no need to say much about how to choose. Comprehension stardust continued to consume frantically. The 3 sword intents are advancing rapidly in an almost hand-in-hand posture. Invisible realm, tangible realm, star realm, Tao realm, law realm. In the eyes of the outside cultivators, the realm of the 5 major Dao, like a moat, was easily crossed by Chen Daoxian. And his only consumption is the comprehension star with a diameter of more than 2,300 miles, and the star core is left again. Seeing this scene, Chen Daoxian couldn't help sighing in his heart. It seems that the use of comprehension stardust to improve the Dao law is not inferior to the power of creation. In the past, he had never used comprehension stardust so wildly and recklessly. After all, those comprehension stardusts were all collected by him every day. Chen Daoxian can't wait to use them carefully and use them on the blade. How can he ignore the cost like now? But it turns out that the use of comprehension stardust, regardless of the cost, is not only not inferior to the power of creation, but has countless possibilities than using the power of creation to improve the Dao law. It is flawed to use the power of good fortune, and then cooperate with the star kendo map to improve the Dao law. This point Chen Daoxian is not clear. First of all, this method can only be used after the Dao law is integrated with the flying sword. Secondly, after the cultivator's Dao realm reaches the high level of the law realm, it becomes less simple to continue to use the power of creation to improve the Dao law. Because after the monks reach the world realm, the law of the Dao has completed the leap from comprehending the outer Dao to perfecting the inner Dao. To put it simply, the Dao law that the monks had understood before was the Dao law of the Phoenix meteor realm. After the cultivator reaches the world realm, if he wants to continue to improve the law of the Dao, he will also be restricted by the new world he has opened up. At this time, Chen Daoxian would not be able to use the Star Sword Dao map to directly improve the Dao law. If he wants to continue to improve the Dao law, he must first expand his world. Certainly, Chen Daoxian could also choose to take another path. Don't open up the world, keep your head firmly, and continue to comprehend the Dao law of the Phoenix world. In ancient times, this road was indeed traveled by monks. But it turns out that, at the end of this road, not only will it not be possible to ascend to the upper realm, but it will make the connection between the cultivator and the Phoenix world become more and more close, and even finally fit into the road. Therefore, if the cultivator wants to get rid of the constraints of the Phoenix meteor realm and ascend to the upper realm, he can only open up a whole new world. Only in this way, the cultivator will gradually get rid of the shackles of the Phoenix meteor realm and have a chance to become immortal. But now, this line of opportunity to become immortal was also cut off as the real demon world devoured the Phoenix world. Inside the space cage, Chen Daoxian looked at the shriveled comprehension stars in the sea of knowledge. Without further ado, he took out the Jie Yuanzhu again, madly absorbing the qi of chaos. With the replenishment of chaos qi, the comprehension stars in Chen Daoxuan's sea of consciousness recovered again. Seeing this scene, he was full of energy and wanted to transform the 5 elements into yin and yang. To do this, Chen Daoxian must contact the world he opened up. Think of this. As soon as Chen Daoxian thought about it, he contacted the Xianhuang realm of the endless void. In Chen Daoxian's consciousness, he has a very close connection with the Xianhuang realm. Obviously, the Xianhuang realm is outside the Phoenix meteor realm, and it is impossible to calculate the position between the two with a simple spatial distance. But he was able to contact Xianhuang realm in one thought. Not only that, but he can actually travel to the Xianhuang realm with a single thought, which is extremely miraculous. 7017K. Chapter 400. Inside the Xianhuang realm, everything is as it was when it was first opened, except for a light ball in the sky where the three laws of air, water, and fire are merged. Everything else is chaotic. Not to mention aura, even the boundary between the earth and the sky is not clear. Under the control of Chen Daoxian, 3 other golden rays of light suddenly appeared in the Xianhuang realm. To sum it up, Chen Daoxian has understood 6 laws so far, which are the same as those understood by the giant axe powerhouse he had seen in the true immortal origin realm. Of course, Chen Daoxian didn't know how many laws the giant axe master had comprehended, but there were indeed only 6 laws that the opponent used to kill the real fairy with 1 axe at that time. And it is the same as the 6 laws that Chen Daoxian comprehends. Chen Daoxian glanced at the ball of light above his eyes. The next moment, the ball of light formed by the fusion of the 3 laws of air, water, and fire suddenly collapsed and turned into 3 golden rays of light again. Suddenly, 6 golden rays of light appeared in front of Chen Daoxian. These 6 golden rays of light are the embodiment of the 6 laws he has comprehended in the Xianhuang realm. Take a deep breath. The comprehension stars in Chen Daoxian's sea of knowledge spun wildly again. As the stardust of comprehension continued to be consumed, his comprehension improved again, and then one of the 6 golden rays of light was repelled, which was the law of space. From the first level of the world realm to breaking through to the second level of the world realm, it is necessary to transform the 5 elements into yin and yang. In addition to stabilizing the space of the Xianhuang realm, the space law has no other role in the process. Looking at the rest of the 5 elements law, Chen Daoxian's eyes were constantly flashing with the fire of wisdom. The essence of the law of the 5 elements under the understanding of 230 times is analyzed and merged little by little, and it moves towards a higher level. Yin and yang are 2 opposing and interrelated forces that exist in everything in the world, and the 5 elements are a further elaboration of yin and yang. The laws of the 5 elements generate and restrain each other. Aren't they in line with the way of yin and yang? Suddenly, a kind of enlightenment came to Chen Daoxian's heart. It turns out that yin and yang are not formed by the 5 elements, but combined by the 5 elements. Realizing this, the yin-yang realm no longer has the slightest obstacle for Chen Daoxian. Soon 5 golden light phantoms entangled, and eventually evolved into a black and white yin-yang fish form. At the same time, the Xianhuang realm also began to transform. I saw that in the Xianhuang realm, the rising air turned into the sky, and the turbid air descended into the earth. Although this world is still lifeless, it has the distinction between heaven and earth, and the difference between yin and yang. At this point, Chen Daoxian's world has just reached the second realm, the realm of yin and yang. With the gradual separation of the sky and the earth, the yin-yang fish shape transformed by the way of yin and yang returned to the state of 5 golden rays. Immediately afterwards, another golden light was reintegrated into the 5 golden light. The 6 golden rays of light were entangled again and turned into a ball of light again, suspended in the sky, acting as the temporary sun of the Xianhuang realm. See this scene. A burst of joy flooded into Chen Daoxian's heart. The breakthrough to the second floor of the world realm this time was as smooth as he expected. Chen Daoxian knew that all of this was due to the support of comprehension stardust. Otherwise, he would never have broken through to the second floor of the world realm so easily and became one of the 3 people present with the highest Dao realm. In a space cage, Chen Daoxian withdrew his consciousness from the Xianhuang realm, and almost no one in the outside world knew that someone actually broke through from the first layer of the world realm to the second layer of the world realm under their noses. Only concubine Chenxue and Jiang Changya, who were in the same realm, glanced at Chen Daoxian's position if they were aware of it. It actually broke through. Feeling the unique charm of Chen Daoxian, Jiang Changya didn't care. because he, like Chen Daoxian, just broke through the world realm, and soon broke through to the second layer of the world realm. In fact, Fei Chenxue was the same. Speaking of this, I have to mention a little trick to step into the world. Many nascent soul cultivators tried their best to suppress the realm before they stepped into the world realm. In this way, the nascent soul cultivator can quickly reach the second floor of the world realm after breaking through the world realm. And those who only comprehend the 3 laws of the Great Tao and rush to break through the world are often stuck in the first floor of the world for a long time. After all, it is much more cost-effective to comprehend the 5 elements Tao in the Yuanning period. This kind of skill or practice experience is not a secret at all for the great forces. But for a family monk like Chen Daoxian who has no background, he doesn't know anything. He didn't know that he had understood the benefits of the 5 great Tao laws in the nascent soul period. I thought that all the monks were just like Qin Zhan, only comprehending the 3 Tao laws, and they couldn't wait to break through to the world. The reason why Qin Zhan was in a hurry to break through the world realm was, in the final analysis, because of the inheritance of Wan Xinghai. And these Chen Daoxian knew nothing. But fortunately, Chen Daoxuan's mistakes and detours on the road of cultivation were forcibly filled by him with the Hongming Enlightenment Classic. Otherwise, he would definitely not reach the heights he is today, break through to the second floor of the world, and count the various high-level magic tools he has mastered. Chen Daoxian was confident in the next battle. Although his cultivation was a big realm lower than Zhang Chengye's, but his Tao realm was the same as the opponent's, and with the help of various high-level magic tools, there was no reason why he couldn't even take the opponent's 3 moves. Think of this. Chen Daoxian no longer continues to improve the realm of the Tao. In fact, his cultivation base is too low and the realm of the Tao is too high. It is by no means an easy task to repeat the Earth's feng shui fire and reach the 3rd level of the world. As soon as he thought of this, Chen Daoxian could only give up. But if he can't improve the realm of the avenue in his cultivation, Chen Daoxian will not waste the next time. After thinking about it, he took out the Aoki Ding from the storage ring. Although he was very sure that he could win the gambling battle with Zhang Chengye, he was cautious by nature, and chose to analyze the refining method of Aoki Ding. Last time, his comprehension stardust was insufficient, and he only analyzed the materials for refining the Qingmu cauldron, and it was too late to analyze the complete refining method. For Chen Daoxian it was like a stick in his throat, because for him the power of creation is simply too great. Once he breaks through to the 3rd layer of the world realm in the future, the power of creation can be used to expand his Xianhuang realm. Not only that, with the expansion of the Xianhuang realm, the power of good fortune can continue to improve the world law of the Xianhuang realm under the action of the star Kendo map. In other words, Chen Daoxuan's future path is almost directly linked to the power of creation. It can be seen that the power of creation is important to him. As for the power of creation, only Yuanying Zhenjuan can extract it from the spirit stone, and the extraction speed is extremely slow. Ordinary real monarchs only extract 1 drop a year. And although the Chen family is a big family in Songzhou, they don't even have a nascent soul cultivator. In other words, without Aoki Ding, Chen Daoxian has no way to obtain the power of creation. He can't rely on his strength to loot wildly in Wangxinghai or Xianyanzhu. If Chen Daoxian really dared to do this, the outside world would be afraid of his potential, and they would join hands to destroy the devil. No monk or power can endure a lunatic who robs everywhere. Chen Daoxian would naturally not take this road. Therefore, Aoki Ding is almost the only way for him to improve the Xianhuang realm. He needs a greenwood tripod and he needs a lot of greenwood tripods. Don't think too much. Chen Daoxian immediately used the derivation function of the Hongming Enlightenment Classic to continue to analyze the refining method of Qingmu Ding. With the use of the Tao deriving function, time took the Aoki Ding in front of him as the anchor, and once again went back to thousands of years ago. Seeing the Zhang family, the true immortal ancestor who ascended to the upper realm, slowly refining the greenwood cauldron, Chen Daoxuan's heart gradually calmed down. Outside world. Although Chen Daoxian is in retreat. However, the celebration ceremony of Qianyuan Jianzong is still proceeding in an orderly manner. The awards and the division of interest for the monks in various states also gradually pushed the atmosphere of the venue to a peak amid bursts of cheers. Songzhou monk camp. Henry Zhang looked left and right, looking quite uneasy, because he was entrusted by Chen Daoxian, not only to ask Qinyuan Jianzong to expel the Yi family, but also to deal with Yi Wudao's death penalty. It's good to say that the Yi family is expelled anyway. In the Zhangzhou boundary, the Yi family is almost unable to get along. Even if they depended on it, the Yi family's family business would not get any benefit in Zhangzhou. But it is not a simple matter to deal with Yi Wudao's death penalty. Not to mention that his father Yin is still in power in Qinyuan Jianzong. He said that the last time concubine Chenxue Jingku said that as long as Zhenangwen was taken back, Yi Wudao would be spared. At this time, it will be difficult to continue to use the lost Zhenangwen to punish the other party. This is not only hitting Yi Yin's face, but also shaking the majesty of concubine Chenxue. Of course, Yi Wudao, as Wan Xinghai's typical second generation of immortals, was guilty of more than just losing Zhenangwen. It's just that losing Zhenangwen was the most serious crime he committed. In addition, when Yi Wudao was in Zhangzhou, he looted young and beautiful female cultivators and used them as cauldrons, which is almost a well-known thing. It's just that Yi Wudao is very measured, and he never touches the female cultivators of the Zhangzhou big family. The targets of his attacks are all female cultivators from the Zhangzhou small family and scattered cultivators. In this way, although there is a lot of anger and resentment, there will always be no trouble. Besides, catching a beautiful female cultivator as a cauldron is not a taboo in Wan Xinghai at all. Although Qinyuan Jianzong has repeatedly banned it, it has never been banned. Not to mention the Immortal Clan, even the powerhouses in loose cultivation often do this kind of thing. In the end, Qinyuan Jianzong, who couldn't manage it at all, could only open one eye and close one eye. As long as the following is not too much, Qinyuan Jianzong basically acquiesced to everyone's behavior. Later, with the start of the Izumo War, the number of female prisoners in the Izumo country gradually increased, and the phenomenon of arresting female cultivators to serve as cauldrons in Wangxinghai gradually decreased. On the high platform, Fei Chengshi's divine consciousness enveloped the audience. She looked at the Zhangzhou cultivator and said warmly, "Are you satisfied with this award?" "Sect Master, I will be satisfied." "Sect Master, you are dissatisfied." Henry Zhang searched for a long time, but he didn't see Chan Daoxian, so he couldn't control much, and stood up directly from the crowd and said loudly. In the ring-shaped venue, he suddenly became silent because of his dissatisfaction. Everyone was frightened by Henry Zhang's courage. A mere cultivator of the Purple House making trouble on such an occasion, is this crazy? Everyone thought about it. Fei Chenxue was not angry when she saw Henry Zhang shouting dissatisfaction, and said, "What are you dissatisfied with?" "Sect Master, I am satisfied with the reward, but dissatisfied with the punishment." "Oh." Concubine Chenxue smiled. "This seat has always heard about rewards, and I have never heard of anyone taking the initiative to ask for punishment. Tell me, why are you dissatisfied with the punishment?" Hearing this, Henry Zhang took a deep breath. "Sect Master, I am dissatisfied with the Yi family occupying Zhangzhou Xiancheng, and I am dissatisfied with Yi Wudao's troubles in Zhangzhou." Boom! As soon as Henry Zhang opened his mouth, he threw a blockbuster into the venue. Hearing this, Fei Chengshi's first reaction was that this person was definitely the one that Chen Daoxian asked for. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but glance at Chen Daoxian, who was wrapped in a silkworm chrysalis-like space cage. Shaking her head, she looked at Henry Zhang and continued to ask, "Why are you dissatisfied?" The cultivators of the Yi family were timid and ineffective, not worthy of occupying the immortal city of Zhangzhou. Yi had no morals and no virtue, and looted female cultivators in Zhangzhou as a cauldron. Everyone knows this. Zhangzhou cultivators like me would never want to be in the company of such filthy families and cultivators. Hear this. Concubine Chenxue turned her head and looked at the hall master of the law enforcement hall, and said sternly, "Master Wang, how should the crime committed by the Yi family and Yi Wudao be punished?" Hearing this, the hall master of the law enforcement hall glanced at Yin, who was not far away, and then at Fei Chenxue, who was like a rainbow, and suddenly made a decision in his heart. Back to the sect master, the Yi family has repeatedly failed to make an inch in the Izumo War, and it is indeed not suitable to occupy the immortal city of Zhangzhou again, and the Chen family should take over this immortal city. As for Yi Wudao, the hall master of the law enforcement hall also broke into a cold sweat. According to the decree of the sect, the crime should be punished. Since this is the case, this seat is here to pronounce the sentence. Expel the Yi family from Cangzhou Xiancheng, and take Yi Wudao into custody. After the truth is found, the law enforcement hall will choose another day for sentencing. This time, Fei Chenxue was unprecedentedly strong, and she didn't even look at Yi Yin at all. And Yi Yin at this moment doesn't care about Yi Wudao. In his eyes, the next battle between the two real monarchs in the world is the most important thing. If they win, all is well. Otherwise, as long as Yi Yin falls, even if Yi Wudao is fine now, he will surely die next time. Think of this. Yi Yin directly said to the concubine Chenxue through voice transmission, "Sect master is very good. Good patience. Elder Yi has won the prize." Yi Yin raised his head slightly. "But my cultivator, we still have to rely on strength to speak. Sect master, after the celebration ceremony, you can dare to walk in the endless void." Concubine Chenxue smiled slightly. "That's what I mean." Got an affirmative reply. Yi Yin closed his eyes and stopped talking. Everything depends on the outcome of this battle. Inside the space cage, Chen Daoxian opened his eyes full of joy. After spending nearly half of his comprehension stardust, he finally fully analyzed the refining method of Aoki Cauldron. So far, all the preparations for Chen Daoxian have been completed. Next, regardless of the outcome of his battle with Jiang Chengya, he did not have any psychological pressure. It's good to win, and you can get some lucky secrets of Wan Xinghai's inheritance. Even if he loses, the refining method of Aoki Ding has already been obtained, and he has nothing to lose. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian's mood is better than ever. This battle was the least stressful for him. He just had to enjoy the battle to the fullest. 7017K. Chapter 401. With a wave of his sleeves, Chen Daoxian withdrew from the space cage, revealing his true body. Second floor of the world. Fei Chenxue on the side was shocked. Outsiders don't know, but she knows that Chen Daoxian's previous strength was only the top real monarch level, but now he has crossed 2 realms in a row, reaching the realm of the second layer of the world realm. She really couldn't understand how Chen Daoxian did it. Far away, Jiang Chengye and Chen Daoxian looked at each other with a smile on the corners of their mouths, and they couldn't help but look forward to the next gambling fight in their hearts. If he were to fight against Chen Daoxian at the first level of the world realm, Jiang Chengye would be sure that the opponent was by no means his own enemy, even if the other party has one of the 3 treasures inherited from Wan Xinghai. As a Tianjiao cultivator who was born in an ancient immortal clan, Jiang Chengye was most in need of high-level magic tools. What's more, his cultivation is a big realm higher than Chen Daoxian's, and his avenue realm is a small realm higher than the opponent's. The gap between the two is too great, and it cannot be smoothed out by a few high-level magic tools. Chen Daoxian left the customs, and the celebration ceremony was still being held. However, all the high-level minds who knew the inside story were not at the celebration ceremony, because they knew that after the celebration was over, something would happen that would completely change the power structure of Qinyuan Sword Sect. Half a month later, the event finally came to an end. Watching one after another escape from the ring venue, Jiang Chengye stretched out his arms and stood up casually. "Chen Daoxian, you gave me a big surprise." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian smiled slightly and cupped his hands. "Friend Zhang Dao, please." "It is good." Jiang Chengye stepped forward, and his figure disappeared instantly. It is not a simple teleportation, but through the traction of the world he opened up, he came to the endless void. Unlike the previous journey to the endless void, which had to be forcibly broken, with the traction of the Xianhuang realm, Chen Daoxian soon followed and came to a dark endless void. See this scene. After Fei Chenxue did not fall, her figure flashed, and she followed Chen Daoxian to the endless void. "Sister, wait for me!" Qin Zhangguai screamed and followed closely. On the field, seeing this scene, many Yuanian cultivators of Qinyuan Sword Sect couldn't help but look at each other in dismay. They are not the true monarchs of the world realm. If they want to go to the endless void, in addition to the extraterritorial battlefield of Liangjiyuan, they can only forcibly break the void. However, with the strength of Yi Yin, Huyanqi and others, it is not an easy thing to break the void. A trace of desolation appeared on Jiang Chengye's face. He pointed to the huge ball of light in front of him, Look carefully. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian looked intently. Finally he found something different. Behind the huge ball of light in Fengyun realm, there is a larger dark world. But this dark world is the same color as the endless void. And Chen Daoxian subconsciously ignores it. But if you look closely now, the black world has completely come into contact with the sphere of light, the Phoenix meteor realm. Moreover, the black sphere is at least several times larger than the huge light sphere of the Phoenix meteor realm. That's the two realms. Jiang Qingye pointed to the place where the Phoenix meteor realm and the true demon realm converged. Looking in the direction of Jiang Qingye's finger, Chen Daoxian murmured, "It turns out that our Wan Xinghai is so far from Liangjiuan. Is it far?" Jiang Qingye shook his head. "If the flight of light is really far away, but as world cultivators we can use the world to transfer, and this distance is not a big deal." Transfer via world relay? Chen Daoxian was stunned. This is the first time he has heard of this way of using the world. Seeing Chen Daoxian's puzzled look, Jiang Qingye smiled and said, "Let the concubine sect master explain it to you." The words fall. Concubine Chen Shue appeared beside Chen Daoxian. Metropolitan. Chen Daoxian, his concubine Chen Shue, bowed his hands. Fei Chen Shue also nodded to him. The word of borrowing the world to transfer in Dao Yuzhang's mouth actually means that the monk uses the world he has created as a boat, and uses this endless void as a sea, and swims freely in it. The speed at which the world travels through the endless void is much faster than that of a monk. Hearing this explanation, Chen Daoxian's mind flashed. Isn't this way the manned satellite of the previous life? If the Phoenix meteor realm is compared to the Earth, these small worlds that rely on the Phoenix meteor realm are satellites large and small. A cultivator flying around the world is equivalent to flying in outer space on a satellite. How similar the two are. Shaking his head, the inexplicable thoughts in his mind were thrown out of his mind. Chen Daoxian frowned and said, "If you say that, wouldn't the true monarch of the world realm be able to drive the world to any location in the Phoenix meteor realm quickly?" "Theoretically yes, but in practice it's very difficult to do," Jiang Qingye said with a smile. "You should be able to feel that after breaking through the world, you can easily perceive the position of the world you have opened up. Not only that, you can make the world pull you into the endless void with a single thought. However, when you return to the Phoenix meteor realm, you can only return to your original position." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian recalled it carefully, and it was indeed the case. When he first broke through the world, it was a secret room in the family's residence. After the breakthrough was completed, he returned to the secret room. At the beginning, Qin Zhan and Yi Qianqi went to the endless void to fight, and after returning, they still returned to the sect of the Qingwei Taoist sect. Therefore, under normal circumstances, no matter if the cultivator uses his own world to go to the endless void from anywhere in the Phoenix meteor realm, he will return to the original place. Zhang Daoyu is right, except for one place, that is the extraterritorial battlefield of Liangjiuan. Aside, Fei Chenxue added, "Sect Master Concubine is right, the extraterritorial battlefield in Liangjiuan is very unique. You can now control the world you created, go to the extraterritorial battlefield, and then return to the Phoenix meteor realm through the extraterritorial battlefield. At that time, you will return to the center of Xianyun continent through the teleportation formation." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian was very surprised. He felt that concubine Chenxue knew much more about these things than ordinary Yuaning Xinjuan. Fei Chenxue seemed to see Chen Daoxian's doubts, and explained, "That's the way I used the Qianyuan sword sect to help Liangjiuan back then." Hearing that concubine Chenxue rushed to help Liangjiuan in advance of Qianyuan sword sect, Jiang Qingye had a hint of respect in his eyes, and he nodded. Concubine sect master is right. There are many sects in Fengyun realm rushing to help Liangjiuan, all of them. In this way, because it's fast enough but also dangerous enough. Hearing that it was dangerous enough, Fi Chengsi couldn't help being silent. With the strength of Qianyuan Jianzong and Izumo at the time, if it wasn't for the aid of Liangjiuan, which led to the destruction of the elite of the sect, why should you be afraid of the Xianqing Dao League? A few people talking. More and more people gathered around. Those present at this time are at least at the level of the top true monarch. Seeing more and more people, Jiang Qingye shrugged his shoulders and said with a smile, "The second floor of the world, it's not worth waiting for you for so long, Chen Daoxian. Come on." "It is good." Chen Daoxuan's face also flashed a touch of excitement. All along since his debut, the enemies he has encountered are either unattainable or crushing each other. And the number of times that he met a cultivator like Jiang Qingye who could give him a lot of pressure without being unattainable was very few. All around, everyone flew away in a very tacit understanding. The battle between the two world realm real monarchs will not make the top real monarchs ineligible to watch the battle, but if they get too close, there is still the risk of being injured and falling. Especially these two are monks on the second floor of the world. In the field, Jiang Qingye took the lead in attacking, and immediately mobilized the world projection to suppress Chen Daoxian. This is the most basic means of every world realm cultivator. For the top true monarchs who are not in the realm of the world, the effect of this rolling method is extremely good. But for the same level of the world realm cultivator, this method is not enough. Although it is not enough to see, Chen Daoxuan's physical body is too weak, and he does not dare to let the second layer world projection suppress him. I saw him open his mouth and spit, and the star kendo map appeared immediately. The next second I saw that this star kendo map forcibly restrained Jiang Qingye's world projection. In the dark endless void, the stars kendo map and Jiang Qingye's world projection are actually wrestling with each other. See this scene. Not to be outdone, Chen Daoxian immediately controlled the world projection of Xianhuang Jie and suppressed Jiang Qingye. The fusion of the star kendo map and the world projection of the Xianhuang realm, the terrifying domain power directly pressed Jiang Qingye's world projection back. And if the other party does not take measures, his world projection will even collapse like a bubble. It turns out that the secret treasure you chose is the Star Sword Dao map. No wonder your Dao law has improved so quickly. Jiang Qingye didn't seem to be nervous. Instead he thought about commenting on Chen Daoxuan's magic weapon. See, Chen Daoxian almost raised his vigilance to the top. Forget it. The warm-up is over. Chen Daoxian, are you ready? What? Chen Daoxian didn't understand the meaning of the other party's words. I saw Jiang Qingye's body was infinitely tall, and in the blink of an eye Jiang Qingye's body was more than 1,000 feet tall. The opponent's height of several kilometers stood in front of Chen Daoxian, like a demon. Chen Daoxian couldn't help being stunned when he saw what seemed like a pillar of Optimus in front of him. Now, his first reaction was not how to break the game, but he thought of the giant axe he saw when he used Yan Dao to go back in time, and he was also like the other party and his height was unknown. With just one axe, the true immortal origin realm was split open, which was outrageous. Chen Daoxian. Jiang Qingye's voice shook the endless void. Chen Daoxian only felt his head roar. In front of this body over 1,000 feet tall, Chen Daoxian felt as small as an ant. The second way, and the most important way, is to draw the power of the world into the body. It's too late for you to admit defeat, otherwise they'll blow you up with one punch later. Chen Daoxian forcibly suppressed the panic in his heart, raised his head to look at the other party, took a deep breath and said, "Come on. Say it." Chen Daoxian immediately took out an array plate, which was the trophy he seized from Jiang Taiyuan, the 7th order mid-grade array plate magic weapon, the Jiugong array. I saw Chen Daoxuan's mana suddenly poured into the array, and an array flag like a streamer was inserted into the void around Jiang Qingye. Chen Daoxian was unable to draw the power of the world into his body, because he knew that in this way, the cultivator's physical cultivation base must be particularly high. And Chen Daoxuan's biggest shortcoming at present is precisely the lack of physical cultivation, but he is not helpless. Although he couldn't draw the power of the world from the Xianhuang realm into his body, he was able to introduce the power of the world from the Xianhuang realm into the battle, and by doing so, he could completely stimulate the power of the Nine Palaces formation. Even in the hands of Dao Jun in the Yuanshan period, a 7th order mid-grade magic weapon is considered a treasure at the bottom of the box. At this moment, Chen Daoxian suddenly took out a 7th order middle-grade magic weapon, which surprised Jiang Qingye. "Want to trap me with a formation?" Jiang Qingye's voice was like thunder. "Look how I broke your bird formation." You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.